cigarette containers under and then if you would put that, so,
Yeah, but he's, you know,
yeah.
individual. In SCL.
One of the top four.
Okay. But yes, we do. Okay. That's the only, anyone else from the agenda? No? Public comment? Yes, sir. I got your text on it. And voice memo. Got a hand up here, like you should. So, you want to introduce yourself out to the world? Yeah, I'm we live at 2302 Happy House. And on the map, you see the area there that says Township property. And down southwest of it is this park that's owned by Onekama Township. We have used Mark Thompson, he identified a number of trees that were dying and leaning over the road there that goes up to our property. Two of the three trees were on the Onekama Township property. So Mark proposed that we get the trees down before they fell down on us. And so if you look at the pictures underneath there, the first one, which is entitled Picture A, in the back, is one of the trees that happens to be a maple tree that was dead on, heading down. And then the next picture is entitled D on the picture. You can see what that's looking like. Come down across the road. So I was in conversation with Dave about this before it got done. We never had a chance to meet. Mark had us scheduled and went ahead and took out three trees, two of which are up in the Township property. The cost for this activity is noted on the bill from Mark Thompson. The first tree, tree A, was $1,000. The other tree, tree B, was $800. And then the third tree was our responsibility. So my request is for consideration of reimbursement of the cost of getting those trees out before they fell across the public road, made it impossible to get to our place. All right. That's my proposal. We talked about this last meeting, but the other couple of times later in the agenda, we discussed it. wrong place.
Well, they don't do it. They would clean, here's what'll happen. If a tree falls down, the road commissioner will put somebody right out and cut it right out.
Or you have a dangerous tree and you call the road commission and they go look at it and they agree, they'll take it down.
Yeah, because there's, if you go down Lake Shore, there's trees leaning across the road like crazy and they're not touching them.
No.
So. they would
The
probably do
township
something.
basically doesn't own, just so everyone knows, we don't own any roads. We have a road millage here to participate with the road commission to repair roads. And essentially, the township owns no roads. They're all owned by jurisdiction of road commission, is that right, Andrew? Say it that way? They're not under their jurisdiction. Okay.
So what you're saying is what I should have done, I should have been in touch with the road commission, had them look
See
at
if
the
they
trees
cut them down
and
first.
see if they were taken down first.
And they may not have either till they fell.
Yeah.
So I can't tell. Those were leaning against that bigger tree when I was there.
Mhm.
Well, that was the picture. I can't see it quite the top, but I think I have a picture on my camera. They were resting kind of like this. May or may not have fallen, who knows, forever. They might have looked at it, if you go down Lake Shore, like you said, there's hundreds of trees that look to me like they're imminently gonna fall, but they haven't, so they haven't done anything. I know it's not what you wanna hear here today, but
Well, I mean, you know, it is what it is.
you did preventative just in case something happened. I understand why you did it. But the board had decided last month not to, is that correct, everybody? Because we don't.
Okay.
No, no. And I didn't want to say that because it wasn't me to say it. I thought you should cover the board.
Sure.
That's why I said, yeah.
I appreciate your time.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, once it fell, they would immediately do it, but that was really no. I'm sorry. Thank you. It's very nice back there. Thank you. I'm in back there for a couple of years. Public comments though, I'm sorry. Anybody else?
I'd just like to say, I thought that this last weekend, the Onekama days were just delightful. We had a great time.
Well, thank you. That's,
Thank
Al appreciate hearing that right now.
Oh, yeah.
I think Monday the concert probably had more people than I've ever seen at the
Big
concert.
crowd.
Right, Al?
Yeah. Well, the biggest crowd we've had is 1,100 people in that with the Scottsdale Clown Band.
Okay,
But this was the second Rogers Sunday we've had.
all right. Thank you very much for that comment.
Thanks.
Anybody else?
Should come back next year.
Okay, come back.
Even better.
Okay, clerk's report.
So, you've seen there was, more of a breakdown in reports. Ed had created report profiles for each, fund per month.
Okay,
And so I'm gonna add those into the monthly, if that's
Statement.
easier for you guys, yeah, or
fine with
is that,
me.
is that
Okay.
too much? Or-
No, I think people
Okay.
like that.
Okay. Any questions? I haven't had any updates from the auditors for their final, journal entries, so
Okay,
we still can't, input the fiscal year budget, so
okay,
that's about all I have.
okay, and trial balance? Okay. Ed, I should ask you, if someone's on here and they're listening, can they speak? Unless I didn't ask for public comment on the owl.
I didn't mute them, so.
They're not muted? Okay. If anyone's online and wants to ask a question or public comment, go ahead.
Libby, we can't hear you. Is your microphone working?
No? Okay. That's on her end?
Pretty sure.
Okay.
Looks like there's something in the chat box.
She's muted.
She's not muted.
Says she's muted. Is it with the microphone, the cross on this?
This is on AM. Hers isn't that way.
No.
Okay. Treasurer's report, Ed.
It's on the right side.
It's on the right side.
Chat box there, is it?
Yeah, she says the audio is weak and cannot hear.
Okay.
Can you hear us, Libby? Is it better? Just nod. Okay, we can't hear you though, so I think there's a problem with your microphone.
Okay.
Then we can, got that figured out what's going on.
Ed, go ahead. You're up for treasurer's report.
Okay, so the tax collections have started. They're coming in at about the same pace as we normally do. Interest income is still strong for the month. Fed keeps raising interest rates and that benefits us with our investments. One of the things I have for later on is a proposal to start accepting credit card payments. So we'll talk about that when we get to that. And obviously, we're still using the video camera and the Zoom system, working out kinks as we go along. But I think the recordings are good. They're on Manistee TV 2
Okay.
and on their website. So that works out well.
Is somebody else on this other than Libby?
Yeah, we have Libby and Ann Heppenstall. Michelle Urban was on it earlier.
Ask Ann if she can say something. Ann, can you hear me? Can you speak?
There we go, unmuted. Yes, I can hear you guys great and you look terrific. Thanks so much.
Okay. Ann, thank you. So that's working.
Yeah, so I think it's on Libby's then.
Well, must be, I think. Okay. Okay, very good.
So I don't know if anybody has any other questions on the reports that were in there.
No, I don't. Anyone in the public? Question for the treasurer? None, moving on. How about my bosses? You're up. Sharon or Molly?
Hello.
How are you?
Take that.
Well,
Do you have the letter?
What
As
letter?
the Onekama Township Supervisor, did you not share our
Oh.
letter from the state?
no, I didn't even. I think I told them, but I did not share it, so I'm sorry.
Molly, look.
Molly, I forgot all about it, actually, so.
Since your own employee won't toot your horn, I'll toot the
Okay,
assessor's
thank
horn.
you, thank you. He's gonna
Molly
take a
was
pay
in the
cut.
first wave, her firm, Great Lakes Assessment, was in the first wave of kind of the new reviews that the state of Michigan does for assessors. And she got a perfect score for not only Onekama Township, but I think every unit that they assess for, which means the 10 or 12 different items that they were looking at, she passed all of that and was in compliance. So that's really good considering it's a new review. It's pretty rigorous. And so I think everybody should be very proud.
Congrats.
And not just pass, but have a perfect score.
Right, we have a perfect score.
No, you embellish it.
Well, you know what, Bob, we're so used to doing great work, I just went right over my head.
Now you might have some public comment.
Yeah, whatever. Well, I could say that we have always, even the AMARs had always passed. I always have and they always have. It's just.
But this was a whole new beast.
Whole new beast and we're still dealing with that. That's fine, so.
There was only one other township within the county that got a perfect score. And then there were 3 corrective action plans, and then the rest of them were technical. They had a technical issue to correct.
So, great.
Nice.
You want to give them the other good news about going forward or for next year's taxable value potential increase or?
No, we're good. I've already talked about it.
Okay.
Remind us about it
No.
Your 5% again,
again.
remind you.
That's okay. I think it's better to let people know that they're not surprised next year, even though they all still will be, right? We're out looking at stuff. What else? We do?
That's it.
It's a kind of,
We were happy to get the letters.
I think everybody was. So.
Nice.
Okay.
If there's a township newsletter, I would hope that the information about the assessing process and the review process would
In our next letter, it's a good idea, actually.
be made to
I'm gonna write something up for the website and put it out.
Can
there for
I
that.
was gonna say, can we have a copy of that letter to
David
put on
has
the
it.
website?
the, maybe,
Well, it's in my email, along with 50 other emails. Hundreds.
Can the owl see me shaking my head?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I'm not
You
looking.
can talk
Okay.
while you're doing it, yeah. You can look where you.
Anything else you'd like to say?
That's it.
Report? That's it? Okay, thank you very much for attending the meeting, so. Jeff? No. Janice? No. New business for. How about Dan?
I'm here.
I see that. Is it Moss shoulder?
Moss shoulder.
Moss shoulder, okay.
Yep.
Very good. I had it
Yes.
right from MMR.
I have invited Dan since, we've had questions and comments and stuff about MMR over the past few months. So, I have invited Dan here. He is the head chief of MMR in our area to explain their
What's going on.
process, what's going on, and answer any questions. So,
Go ahead, Dan, you're on.
Yep, so my name is Dan Mosholder. I'm the operations manager for MMR in Manistee County and Wexford County. So my position here started on April 11th. Still fairly new in the position. Prior to that, I was working on the ambulance down here as a paramedic for a couple of years, so pretty familiar with a lot of the area and fire chiefs and stuff. We actually have a really good working relationship with Onekama Township Fire. And probably the majority of our calls are out this way anyway. But for those who don't know, we do have 2 stations in the county. We're out of Maple Grove Township Fire Department in Calaba with 1 truck, and we have a station that's behind the hospital ER down in Manistee, which has another truck at it. We generally run 2 trucks 24 hours, advanced life support, which is a paramedic and an EMT. Some days we do fall down to 1, and our second truck is basic life support, which is essentially 2 EMTs on it. But we're required by the state of Michigan to have at least 1 paramedic in the county at all times. There are days lately, our staffing is getting ramped back up. It hasn't been so great over the past few years or since the merger. So our staffing's getting back up. We're slowly getting back up to a 3rd truck on during the day. When we have that 3rd truck, it does run out of the station down by the hospital, as that's where most of our volume is. And then that truck helps out with a lot of the interfacility hospital transfers as well. So on that part, aside from doing 911s in the entire county, with exception to the city of Manistee, they have their own ambulance, and Norman Township has their own as well. We are tasked with handling all the hospital transfers out of Munson, Manistee, whether they're going to Traverse, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor. So we are part owned by Munson, so we do have that obligation to them. We don't get we have our busy days and our slower days with the transfers, but we will never leave the county uncovered without an ambulance for a hospital transfer unless it is a stat transfer, which in terms means we have the license items on going up to Traverse City per se. We can't turn those ones down because they're a high priority call. So if those instances do happen, which I'd like to say they're rare, but they're happening more often because the hospital's been busy. If it does take us down to 0 car status in the county, we will make an attempt to pull over an ambulance from Wexford County to cover until our truck gets back, or we'll pull one down from Traverse City. And then we do seek mutual aid from the city when the time comes. But as far as that, that's pretty much how we work operationally. And if anybody ever has any questions or concerns, that's why I'm down here, and I'd be happy to answer any questions or concerns today.
So
Anybody has them?
one of the we heard, which I don't know, the problem is you hear stories, was that somebody had to wait for, 3 days just to get transported to.
that was Al's.
Yeah, 2 someday, and it was after a heart attack.
2 days?
I think so.
So,
But I don't know that, I don't
Yeah.
know. So I'm just shooting in the dark, right?
yeah, and those are definitely issues that I want to hear about so we can dig into them. So I'll leave it with one of my cards too. We can chat aside and I can look into it. Cause I'll have to get demographic information from you to pull it up.
Yeah, it was, Jean's mom,
Oh, Jean Anderson's mom.
yeah.
Yeah. But,
There might be some underlying story that we don't
Yeah.
know. See, that's.
Right.
Yeah, so just a short background on that. So like I said, we have to have 2 ambulances in the county to move a transfer. That way there's still 1 in the county to cover 911 calls. If we only have 1 truck in the county, it'll delay getting another transfer out. That way we don't leave the county completely uncovered. And then there's also the parts that we can't control. So if when Munson Manistee has a patient, they need to transfer, it usually goes up to Traverse City, so it's in the Munson system. They will contact the hospital up there. They have to get an accepting physician, and then they have to get a bed. So if there's no accepting physician or there's no bed readily available, like up on the floor, that'll add a delay too. And with the influx of tourism and stuff, and even COVID in the years past, we've been seeing a lot of delays on bed availability in the hospitals. So those delays come there too. The delays do come on our part as well. Usually, like I said, if we gotta have a truck in the county too. If the delay is on our part, we'll generally try to get mutual aid from one of our other service areas to come. It's not uncommon for us to pull a truck over from Cadillac to help us out, or Manistee will help out Cadillac too. But yeah, we can chat on the side and I can look into it, see what happened there.
Well, the woman that talked to us, she's a retired nurse, so she knows a lot of the procedures and stuff.
Well, and Jeff had told everyone to contact Amy Fairchild. That's not the case. You need to contact Danny. Amy's from a different
Yeah,
area.
so Amy is, our whole division up here, it's called our Northwest Operations. And it consists of Manistee County, Wexford County, Grand Traverse, Antrim, and soon to be Crawford. So I have Manistee and Wexford. Amy is my co-manager and she covers the Traverse City area and soon to be Greeley. So anything that happens down here, it'll come to me first. And without the specifics, I think I might have been working that night too, so I think I know what happened there.
Okay.
There's
That's
other
fine.
times
There's
too.
underlying stuff we don't maybe know.
Yeah,
Maybe there wasn't.
pretty much.
Right, okay.
So Dan, I've got some questions if you don't mind. I just want to make sure I understand. So you got a rig at Maple Grove and you got a rig at the hospital under normal circumstances.
Yep.
One is ALS,
They're generally 2 ALS.
generally 2
There are
ALS.
days where like if we had a call off or something, we'll lose it and it'll be BLS.
Okay, so if on one of those days that you lose something and you have 1 BLS truck and 1 ALS truck and you have to do a transfer, which rig do you send for the transfer?
So if it's a non-emergent or BLS transfer, which basically means there's no like medications or cardiac monitor or anything, we'll send the BLS truck. If it's an ALS transfer, we can't pull that ALS truck out of the county. So at that time, we would have to borrow somebody from Traverse or Cadillac.
So just to clarify, you always have to have 1 ALS truck in the county barring some really exigent
Yeah.
circumstance. Okay, so I wanted to make sure that the public knew that you weren't shipping an ALS rig to transport somebody up to Munson and not have an ALS rig at the county and only have a BLS.
No. Yeah, we're required by the state of Michigan, the EMS bureau, to have a ALS truck in the county 24/7.
Okay, so when the county sold the hospital to Munson, there was an agreement in place that basically said Munson agrees to keep the same level of service that they had prior to the thing with the ambulance. I don't know exactly what that level of service was. It probably predated you, but from the feedback I get from people is that the level of service is not the same as it was when the ambulance service was being run by the hospital. Can you comment on that?
So I know, and I worked for Northlight for a short period, but I can't speak on them 100%. I know they ran a truck out of the same station, so we essentially staffed the same stations with the 2 trucks. I'm not sure if Northlight had more than 2 trucks at any times, but I know it was a rough merger. I wasn't really here for the merger, so I can't speak on any of that either. I just know it was pretty rough, and MMR only retained like 27% of their employees. So the first couple of years were really choppy. That's actually why I came down here and started working as a paramedic in the county, because there was a major shortage. I think at the time I was only one of 3 paramedics in the county, and we're up to 8 now. So slowly getting better. Actually right now I only have one full-time opening for paramedics, and that would make us a perfect run operation, ALS trucks, but it's hard to find them.
Situation where you're doing a BLS transport up to Munson
Mhm.
or Grand Rapids or wherever you need to transfer. and you get a call for your ALS rig and it goes out. Another call comes in, what do you do with it?
A third call?
Yep.
So if a third call comes in and we don't have a truck available for it, that's when we reach out to mutual aid, whether it's Manistee City, kind of depends on what part of the county it's in. Manistee City's, the guys, they're pretty willing to help us, but they don't like to go up to Kokomish, for example, because it's too far for them. If the call's in the Kokomish area, we have Thompsonville EMS that automatically responds to that area anyway, so generally they'll handle it. If it's down by Wellston, same situation down there. Otherwise, we'll tap into Benzie County, which doesn't happen a whole lot, but it does happen. And it's very rare that we will have to tap into like Lake County or anything. But that's what mutual aid's there for. So we generally always work to get them covered. And it does happen.
And it probably goes both ways.
Yeah, so there's times where like Benzie will call us up there. We've gone into Mason County a few times in the past few months.
Would you say you're doing more transfers now that West Shore is a satellite of Munson and they've cut back on the level of services at the
Yeah.
hospital? So that
Unfortunately,
I think that presents a real problem.
Yeah.
frankly, Because it basically forces more mutual aid calls and it forces a less responsive ambulance service in the county.
Well, it does, because, I mean, you guys, like the city, not you personally, but the city brings in patients. And even though maybe they should be going right up to Traverse, they have to probably take it to the nearest hospital. And then these guys have to transfer them, so that takes out their ambulance. And then the same thing with Norman, you know, everybody brings it to Manistee, and then that pulls MMR out.
Right.
And if you think about it, it's not really fair.
The MMR needs a third ambulance, period.
You know.
That's what needs to happen.
that's what we're able, that's like my main goal right now. So it's been really nice within the last few weeks, I'd say, that we've been getting a third ambulance up more often. So we just had 4 new EMTs start full time.
Is the reason that there's not a third ambulance the staffing, or is
Yeah.
it the cost of the rig?
It's the staffing.
It's the staffing.
Yeah.
If you could get paramedics to do it, would MMR put a third ambulance?
Oh, yeah. We have 3 on today.
Okay, so are you guys sponsoring people to go through paramedic school, or?
Yep, so we just hosted an EMT class in Manistee. They finished, I want to say March or April-ish, sometime in the spring. But we only had 6 people go through it. We had a lot of applicants, but we do interviews for those and weed out the people who don't want to do it and stuff. So we only had 6 people go through that. We got 4 of them out of it in Manistee County. Then right now we're running a paramedic program up in Traverse City. I think there's 30 people in that. We're down to 27.
So do you guys have a target date to have a third ambulance done, or?
I can't say for sure. Like I said, right now we're doing it probably 2 to 3 days a week. Today we have the 3 ambulances and all 3 of them are ALS trucks. So that's huge.
Yeah.
I wish it could be every day, but we're just not there yet. I have 2 EMTs that actually just took their state exam today for paramedic. So we're waiting to hear, hopefully they passed, and we'll get 2 more paramedics out of that. But problem is, I mean, everybody knows there's a national shortage of paramedics, and I will say, since MMR's been up here, and this is even going before I worked for MMR, they've taken a lot of education on their hands, because Northern Michigan lacked a lot of EMS education over the years. And so we got a paramedic class going right now. We have another one starting this fall. Right now, we don't have any EMT classes on the schedule, but I'm sure more to come.
Do you know how many ambulances Life EMS runs out of Mason County?
I'm not positive. I know they got more than one down in Ludington, and they got a truck over in, I don't know, that'd be Lake County, because it's Irons. But they were struggling for a while too, from what I hear. They're doing good right now, because they worked out a system with Spectrum or Corewell Health as far as transfers go,
Okay.
because it was killing them too. So we're hoping to have some conversations with Munson in the future to try to get us a better system worked out. Because like we mentioned, when Munson took over all that, they kind of pulled a lot of the stuff up to Traverse City as far as like cardiology, stroke center. Manistee Hospital has none of that. So, and the general public doesn't know that. It's a hospital to them. So they show up, they think they're having a heart attack. Okay, well, you are having a heart attack. Now we got to ship you up to Munson. because there's no
Right.
cath lab down here. So, and same thing for traumas, any major traumas that come to Manistee, they're not a trauma center, so they all gotta go north or south. And any one transfer to Grand Rapids for us is probably 5 hours round trip. That's 5 hours, there's one less ambulance in the county.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're looking about adding that third ambulance, because I think that will help everybody. It'll have a cascade effect.
It's
Well,
on
you're
the
also-
top
you're
of the
also
list.
Trying to hit a moving target because there's more and more older folks coming up here retiring. Their medical needs are higher
Mhm.
and it's gonna continue that way.
Yeah, just
So, it's hard to
aside
cope
from that, everybody's getting busier every single year. It's not getting any slower, unfortunately. But,
But one thing that would be nice is I had to take an ambulance from here up to Traverse. And, as a transfer, you need to specify different suspension systems. Ambulances, I had 7 broken ribs and I felt every bump along the way and it was about every 30 feet, it seemed like.
yeah, I don't disagree with you there.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead. That's a different department.
That's the road commission.
Road commission.
But we just got the ambulance in Calabar is pretty new.
That's what
And
they
it
told me.
rides-
I was in the newest one.
It rides nice for like 2 months,
And then,
because then you get on these bad roads and.
right, you can't fix the
Yeah.
road.
But
Okay.
I think to go back to your question about the service level from when it was, West Shore ambulance based versus what they're doing. I think the topic was touched on is you talk to all these fire departments and they're all busier than they've ever been. So the call volume is still going up and because of lack of workers, they're still trying to do this, the same service. The service is the same. It's just the call volume is so high that.
But there are more transfers than there used to
And
be.
there are more transfers,
That's
and you hit the nail on the head, it's because of what the hospital is doing, it isn't what these people are doing.
That's what
the
Winston's
hospital-
doing in the
But-
hospital.
There's more transfers because there are more people taking advantage of the system.
Some of that too. Sure.
yeah,
Okay. Any other questions?
Thanks for talking.
Thanks for coming to the
Yes,
meeting.
thank you,
Thanks for
Danny.
the information.
give you guys my,
Yeah, I think every turn I've had,
I know how to get hold of you.
Can
I'll
anybody,
have Dean calling us.
would anybody,
great.
you.
would it help having about 1,000 people call them and say we need a third ambulance?
The hospital or us?
But your personal cell phone.
I'm like, I have the trucks, I just don't have the people.
You need the people, okay.
Yeah,
There's no people.
I got 4 ambulances sitting down here, it's just I need
You need people,
bodies in the seats.
okay.
So, yeah, I'm hoping we're gonna get another EMT class in Manistee probably this next spring or something. So if you guys know anybody that's interested.
Does everyone on the ambulance have to be an EMT?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Lowest licensure you can have is EMT license.
Even the driver?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep,
in case you have to pull over and help, I'm assuming.
pretty much.
Yeah, okay.
And there's times like on those bad calls, we'll have the fire department drive us, but we still have to have 2 EMTs at minimum on the truck.
Sure,
So
okay. Very
that
good.
all comes out.
Patty, you want to ask a question?
How long is the EMT course?
So EMT course, generally they're 6 months long. This last one that we did in Manistee was an accelerated course and that was only 7 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So because there was such a critical need,
Right.
and that's pretty common now as throughout the state is everybody's doing these accelerated courses. So paramedic is normally 15 months. And I know the one that West Shore is getting ready to start is like 9 months long.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right.
yeah, everybody across the state's hurting and they're all trying to scramble to get. But at the same time, you don't want to cut it too short because then you don't get solid people out of it, so.
Mhm.
But I would say we have a lot of solid people down here. So we're
Okay.
fortunate in that aspect.
Mhm.
Thank you for your time today.
Yep,
Okay,
I'm gonna dart, but
okay, that's
see you
fine.
guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Dan.
you.
See you later.
Portage Point Road by Portage Point Road by the Portage Point Maintenance Building.
Yes, I had someone come in, and ask if that, road can be widened. Cause you can't get 2 vehicles. So I don't know if that buildings that were coming down or whatever, what the plans are, but I don't know if that road's even up to specs, but if you could put
Which
that.
Okay.
As part of their special use permit renewal, I think it would be useful to have that entire road surveyed through there. Or the county do it something and figure out where it actually is, because it's not a normal right of way and it's not probably built where it's supposed to be.
No,
But there may be some concessions or horse trading that you could do to, even if you added 2 feet to that road in a couple spots, it would make it much safer. Or a sidewalk, which is on the agenda for later tonight. I just think it's important to know where that is. Right now, in theory, it's traffic calming, because I just crawl through there because I'm afraid I'm gonna run somebody
Right,
over.
you have to.
Teenagers don't do that.
But
They
you-
go screaming
yeah.
around that corner.
And
You know,
you-
you pop out from the steel seawall and you got 6 kids climbing Angel Slide with the parents hanging out across and not paying attention. The car's coming from another way.
And you can't fit 2 cars.
It's really tough.
So you're talking from the casino to the Cook property.
More or less, that stretch, the S curve through there. Yeah.
Yeah,
I would like to see that, you know, maybe.
so it's just, I think, but if I'm not, just going back years, the platted road actually exists into the dune.
And that might very well be, but it's a highway.
Use by
right away.
use now, I
Yeah.
agree.
So if, you know, if there's ability to gain a couple feet, even if it just to put a sidewalk in where the public can walk, because there's no place to walk right now. They've got that fence all the way up to it. They're walking in the road. if
You want to
people
do it
walk
on the
through
west
there.
side of the road?
I don't
Or
know. what-
no? Okay, you're just
Yeah.
saying somewhere.
I would,
Okay.
yeah, I would say on the east side of the road.
I know when we did the special use permit review, this came up. And it was difficult because the road is in the dune, should be in the dune.
I think that's where it came from.
And
The
then,
platted part of the road, but by use, it's where it is now.
Right.
But I don't think the property going back to the east is in the road right away at all.
It
Is
might
there
not be,
any bargaining
however,
that
You might be able
can
to
be
trade,
done?
you might be able to
That's what
trade.
I'm
Yeah,
talking
okay.
about, is that something we
Okay.
gotta look at?
So you want to do this the road commission and ask them, who pays for the survey?
Well, if they may already have one, they may already
There's
know that,
gotta be a
that the
survey.
east border of that section is not in the right of way. I mean, if they know that already definitively, then it's a moot point, because you're not gonna do anything in the dune. It's gonna be, can you get a little bit of property to the east? to do
I wouldn't
something?
say you couldn't do anything in the dune, who knows? Maybe they'll let us go in a couple of years.
For a long time, the word was that Mr. DeVoe put his fence in the road right away.
So, I mean, you don't know until you have it surveyed,
Right.
unless they have a survey.
Unless they have a survey. Bob, when's their meeting?
Today,
Oh, would you ask this question this morning?
no.
Okay. You didn't know you were gonna ask that question?
There is a pin on the
I think-
seawall.
There's one pin that you can see.
It's probably 4 foot from the iron. That's there probably for a reason.
I'll ask someone in the morning.
So it's been surveyed.
you might want to take a look at the plans that were submitted with the site plan. Or BPI, because I think there might have been something in there with it. We'll find out next month, because we're going through the previous plan.
Okay. That's a good idea, so. Yeah, if they tore it down, it'd be nice, but I don't think they're gonna tear the building down.
Rough shade.
There's a, okay.
They're waiting for it to fall down.
Yeah, it'll fall down to get a good wind.
Good one, we had one the other day, okay. Resolution for Onekama Marine.
I have a resolution number, suggestion was made by Ed for thanking him for the boat stuff, correct? I could find a sample resolution unless you have one or know of one, or,
I think we can do one. If I've got a format, if that's helpful.
Okay.
Or if you've got a format.
Just want board approval?
I don't have a format, but, if someone
can
wants to make
Yeah,
them,
you-
Want to make a motion then, do we do that? That's fine.
or do we
Pass the
do it
motion.
as we do the
Well,
resolution?
let's have one on the agenda for next meeting and then. we'll
Okay,
go
fine.
table.
And I'll work on a draft of it and then you can tweak it and we can have it on the agenda. How's that sound?
Okay,
That sounds great.
Good idea.
Accepting,
Somebody back there had their hand up, I don't know who it was. I just don't know even.
They had to scratch your nose.
you're just moving their hat.
Oh, okay.
Point, accepting credit card payments, point and pay.
So our accounting system has the ability to take credit card payments that are integrated with the software rather than kind of having to do it all manually. I use it at the city. It works really well. It's an easy back end. They've changed their pricing structure a little bit. And so, what they're asking is if we wanted to use their product, it's a $500 setup fee and then a $50 monthly maintenance fee. That's something that I'm interested in.
What are you doing? I'm sitting here watching a Zoom phone call and looking at new phones. This one keeps changing the time.
The standard practice that they use, because the township can't absorb, especially like on property tax payments, we can't absorb the merchant exchange fee and stuff.
Right, so how
So
much
it's a
is it?
3% with a $2 minimum. So if somebody was desperate to pay their property taxes last minute, they could swipe, pay their taxes, but they'd have a fee with that. But we
3%.
charge that for anything. So if somebody's paying their short-term rental for $100, it would be a $2 fee. And a lot of people like the convenience of that. So I'm just wondering if the board's interested in pursuing that at all.
So they'd pay an extra $2 for you to do the transaction, but they still have to pay the 3%.
No, it's 3% or $2 minimum. So whichever's greater.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of the smaller transactions are just gonna be $2. So if somebody wants to come in and there really isn't that much, and we just don't do that many transactions. A lot of it's for property taxes.
Yeah.
And you do get a number of people that'll pay their property taxes even with that 2%, or 3% fee.
So you're out $500 basically, and how much a month?
It'd be 500 set up and then $600 a year. It's just it's an option to provide another payment channel to our taxpayers. Some people have asked for it. They may not want to pay that once they see what it is, but it's just something to consider.
I think we should have that available for the
I think it's long overdue.
taxpayers. Yeah,
Anything to make.
if you're willing,
Speed it up and.
if you're willing to add that to your program, I say we do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. And they can, there's ways that they can do an e-check. They can.
Right.
I think I'll have to look, but there may be a number that they can call. I don't think they charge extra for that, and we can even make it available, or they can make the payments
They can.
online.
Yeah, they can make them online. I think that's a huge advantage.
So if that's something that we're good with, I'll just go ahead and get that.
You want a motion?
I'll make the motion
I'll
to
second.
accept that pay point.
Motion made by
Appointment.
Shelley, seconded by Bob. Any other discussion for it's called point and pay? Is that what you call
Mhm.
it? For the credit card, point and play?
Can I add a question?
Go ahead.
We don't store their credit card number or anything like that. That's all done with these folks.
Right.
The only thing that we have is we see it as it goes into the reader and out.
Yeah, I mean, we have access to the back end to look at stuff if we need to, like get reports and that sort of thing, but we don't store it here anywhere.
Right, okay. We don't sell that information if that's interesting.
No, I can get to that. I just.
Cool. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, that's carried. That'll work for the 5, you want to call them road-end parcels or in-level
Yeah.
parcels or?
So there's 5 parcels out on Bayview that were at some point deeded from the state of Michigan with the right of the public to access the water from those parcels, but they're privately owned.
Privately owned.
And over time, those parcels have changed hands, and based on the small sample of deeds, I was able to see that deed restriction didn't always make it into the new deed, so there's an issue there. And then there's also an issue that these are privately owned, so they are subject to our invasive species special assessment. And for some reason, people have ignored that or not paid it, so there's 2 or 3 of those parcels that are gonna go up for foreclosure in January, and now we're starting to get notices because they get attention when they get the notice from the county. But I think we need to understand what that chain of title looked like, and then, because Molly, the assessor, also asked questions about, well, if they're privately owned, even if they're subject to a right of the public, they're still valuable to that property. Maybe they should be on the tax roll. So there's a lot of questions about these 5 parcels that we need to clear up. And they really, if they are open to the public, they should be open to the public. And if they're not, then they need to be fully taxable. So I think we owe it to the township taxpayers to spend that money, which is pretty reasonable, I think, and figure out exactly what has transpired.
And what was the bid? I can't remember.
It's $250 per parcel.
Yeah.
And Molly has requested that too, because and also Rachel Nelson, the county treasurer, she hasn't requested the title search, but she said she's got questions about it.
And we had an individual in here last week.
We
that
did,
has
we've had a couple.
Deed for one that was never even shows up anywhere.
Right, yeah, there's just issues with these parcels, so, because they're so unusual.
So we're requesting a title search for
1250.
250.
No,
Times
times
five.
5.
It's $250 per parcel.
Per parcel, okay.
Somebody make
I'll make
that.
that motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? None? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's carried. Sidewalk on Portage Point Road.
So this gets back to kind of the topic that we had earlier about the S-curve. I remember when I was on the planning commission 20 years ago, the master plan that Kurt Schindler had, and we probably have a copy of it, one of the map pages showed where the sidewalks were in the township, and they delineated a bunch of them out at Portage Point Road. And there are remnants of those sidewalks. Most of them are buried under 6 to 8 inches of sand. But I certainly think, given the amount of traffic and the amount of people that walk, that we ought to explore what the status of those sidewalks are and even commit dollars to cleaning them off and restoring them, because I think it's a public safety nuisance out there with people walking in the middle of the road. Part of the problem is people's hedges on some of them have grown up over the sidewalks. So that, I mean, if we're gonna make that
And where,
passable,
which
it's on the
part?
right-hand side of Portage Point Drive,
from?
past the S-curve, right when you get around by Angel Slide.
Angel slide.
Goes from there all the way out to where it turns to go up, or sidewalk here.
On the west side of the road.
On the west side of the road. I think those need to be restored and maintained and put back to public sidewalks.
I think they're in the wrong place to be able to do it though.
Well, again, it's a use by right. I mean, it may be a Tom Gurr question, but they're there. They've been historically used as a sidewalk for decades.
What if, yeah, there are hedges and stuff on
Well,
them.
let me ask this question.
Again, this kind of opens up a can of worms, but if we're looking at public safety out there and they're there, either that or we ought to formally abandon them and just be done with them. But they're there, and some of them are well maintained and others have been paved over, and some of them just have a bunch of dirt on them. But the map, as I recall, it showed it going the whole length of Portage Point Drive.
Let me ask this question. When you guys were doing the sewer system, did you look at all at easement requirements or anything like that?
Or
Or
not that far.
Were they on the east side or west side, you said?
On the west side.
West side.
Yeah.
Is any of that sidewalk still there?
A lot of it is.
a lot of it's there.
And I think the stuff you can't see is just buried under dirt. I don't think people pull it out, maybe in a few spots,
Okay.
but it's just never been
The
maintained.
one that would have problems was the guy that Doug built the house for. The big new house out there.
Their driveways put over them.
There's in a couple spots. there's a
Yeah, yeah,
driveway, but you
yeah.
can
No,
see
yeah, I know what you mean
it.
now.
It might be right on the sidewalk, that stone hedge,
Okay.
because he's right close to the road.
No, the one they built about 3 years ago,
Yeah.
there's a sidewalk in front of that, I think. I'm pretty sure.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think it is. So it's there. It's just a question of what can or should be done with it. But I think if it's a public sidewalk and it's available, somebody ought to be maintaining it and using it.
The only other thing is that the sidewalk that he's talking about, some of them are down in the dirt.
Yeah, I know.
So if we're gonna do it, you're gonna have to build sidewalk from here up.
Or just
dig
excavate
it
it.
out.
That's below the road. It becomes a swimming pool all the way out.
Potentially. I mean, I think we need to see what's there, depending on where the road drains and all of that.
So who you want to do this, planning commission?
If you want to get out there, Al, that'd be great. You could shovel, I'm just kidding. No, I don't know. I'm just bringing it up.
No, I wasn't.
He means turning it over
I'm
to,
teasing them.
no, I know that, but he means turning it over to them or turn it over
You're gonna have
to,
to-
go ahead, Dave.
Well, I think there's a lot of questions we have to answer, but clearly they're there. Clearly they've been indicated in previous master plan maps as infrastructure.
Mhm.
I don't know if the township owns it. I don't know if the county owns it. I don't know who owns it. We need to get all those
Township would know it.
questions answered.
We wouldn't know.
You'd have to start.
David, what are you gonna say?
Well, I was just gonna say that one of the goals of the draft master plan is a walking, biking trail from basically the Canfield House, Langland Park. And in my mind, the stretch that Ed's talking about was the biggest hurdle I saw, because I didn't see how you could fit a sidewalk in a road that small. But if it's already there.
It's not your traditional sidewalk. It's
not that
about,
big.
it's like the ones that are in Wickedy Wall. They're skinnier.
Yeah.
Well, the ones that come out and come down M22 from Portage Point Drive, you can see remnants of, or there's still some active sidewalks there that are about that wide.
That's the width they used to build them, but,
Yeah.
I think that's a perfectly acceptable use of
Okay.
of the road millage too as well. It's all part of that road. I think if there needed to be some cost sharing to bring that up, but I just know this time of year for the 6 weeks or 8 weeks. of
So who do you
summer,
want, who do you want to look into this? Who's gonna,
I'd say planning commission, the best one.
I mean, I'm happy to help. I don't know what the right thing is. I just bring it up as.
right, no, I'm just wondering,
We
if the
might
planning
need,
commission.
we might need some money for legal.
No, I understand that, but you guys want to take a stab at it?
Will that survey show any of that?
I mean, the county may already know, I mean, I would start with the county road commissioners where I would start and then go from there probably.
That would be a county function. Sidewalk too.
Yeah. I know.
You'll find some of that, I think, even from Lake Island, or starting at Lake Island, going maybe.
If we can find a copy of the old Kurt Schindler master plan with all the attachments, it's in there, it's hand drawn, but it shows where all the sidewalks are in the township. So I don't know if we have that in the record somewhere. I may have a copy. of it
Somebody will
somewhere.
have that.
Kurt will have it. I haven't,
Kurt will have it. He probably will, actually.
I haven't been able to find it.
That should be on the Laserfish, shouldn't it?
All right. No
It's
idea.
possible.
If it's a drawing.
But it was in the body of, or an appendix to the,
The master
Master
plan.
plan.
Oh, yeah, that should be on there.
Might be.
I can look on that.
What year is that? 80?
it would have, well, I mean, the first zoning ordinance was 89 or something, right? Or 91?
91.
91, so it was in the 91 and maybe the subsequent one. Eventually it got fancier and they took some of that stuff out. Is there a current, in the current master plan? I can't recall, is there?
There was no zoning prior to 91 at all?
Oh, no.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
there
was.
was.
Yeah, there was. It was just updated in
yeah,
91.
91, there
I
was
think.
So when
zoning.
did the zoning?
Oh, God, man, a long time ago.
But I think that one made some significant.
Yeah, because I
changes.
remember seeing something in 88.
And there was one back in 75.
Yeah, it goes way back. It's not that new, but it's been updated.
But I don't know if there was a master plan back. then.
No, not master plan, I'm talking about zoning ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay, how about planning commission, take a stab at
We have a
it?
meeting one next week.
Well, we probably should check.
We
with the
can
county
add it to
first.
the
Check with them, but
Yeah.
let them go about it that way.
We'll add it to the agenda and we'll.
Add to the agenda, if we gotta talk to the county, I'll talk to him about that tomorrow, if I'm gonna call about
Okay.
the survey over there, might as well ask about some of it. They're really gonna be impressed with all this.
Thanks for choosing us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
How's it feel?
Hey, no problem, as they say. Okay, sidewalks, moving on. Unfinished business, video equipment trial run update in the future.
I think it's working well. There's a few little glitches. But
Some of this, like we're having tonight, is Libby still on?
Mhm.
Libby, we still can't hear you. It must be on your end.
like she's
Just
trying to
a
talk.
keyboard.
Lucio, usually you just reset your
I am
computer.
still
and
here.
start.
I could hear her.
Hey,
Oh, she's there.
Well, now we can hear you. What'd you do? Hello?
Or did
Oh.
Jen do her?
I've been here.
We couldn't hear a word you said till right now.
Okay, I've heard what you've said. Thank you.
Thanks, Libby.
Okay.
We can tweak it. The file that I sent for the special meeting, Barry didn't get it. He said send it to a different email in the future, so that, I think that's up now, but it wasn't for a few days.
Okay.
Wasn't
But he's got them
for,
out on the website so people can look at them. Seems to be working fine.
Is people looking at them, do you know, or do we know? Is there a
I
count?
don't know. We'd have to check with Barry to see if he knows any metrics on that or not. It'd be good information to have. I doubt.
Typically,
No, but is there a way to track it? Will he be able to?
He
say
would
that?
have to see maybe on his system. We don't have a way.
You can also ask them to insert a counter right on the screen, it'll tell you how many times people hit the.
Maybe, I don't know if he does that for the rest of it or not.
Yeah, and right now it's just the township board meetings that are getting done.
Right. So the question I think becomes, like, if there's a planning commission meeting that's important with, not that they're all, not all important, but like with the. Portage
Rephrase
Point-
that, rephrase.
With the Portage Point Inn or something like that.
Something big.
It might be something that we want to either train somebody to do, or if I'm available, I could come to it, but I don't want to be responsible for that moving forward. It's a very easy system to
Well,
use.
it's
Work
September.
instructions,
What's that?
work instructions.
Yeah. But I think you need to do it physically and test it to make sure you
Feel
understand,
comfortable.
rather than just having written instructions and
For September's planning commission meeting, that's when I think we will need it.
what's the date for that?
Uh,
Third,
September
21st.
Yeah,
September
that's when they're
23rd.
gonna go over that's when we're gonna go over the special use permit.
Okay, so if I'm here, what day is that?
The third Thursday of the month.
I'm thinking I'm gonna be out of town. If I'm here, I'll come and record that. If not, I should figure out a way to record it before then. So,
Yeah.
Also, we got social.
And there's a couple of invasive species ones I'd like to see on the, when we have the public hearing or public meeting and go over kind of what the treatment plan is and stuff like this. I think that should be video.
Because that's at a township board meeting, it will be.
Yeah. Well, we can always make it part of, part of it.
Mhm.
I think people will be interested.
So I don't know, has anybody gone out to the TV2 website and looked at the videos? I know the sound quality is pretty good, which is the biggest thing.
I have not.
The first one.
I have. I've seen two of them.
Yeah,
Okay.
100 people go
Well,
to the other.
is it okay? You like, if it's fine to hear, the quality's okay and
The
everything?
first one was kind of ishy.
Right at the beginning, but after it went through, and I think that might have been with the way it uploaded, but I went into it and it was fine. I didn't watch the whole thing.
I have a neighbor that watches this every time he gets a chance.
Okay. Is everybody talking loud enough in the room to be on the recording?
If it's not, and people have a complaint, we have another microphone that we can add to this.
Right, we
Put
talked
it
about
out
that,
or
put it out
whatever, but
there.
I didn't think we needed it because it seemed to be pretty good quality sound just with this.
If we have a problem, it'll be anybody that's in the back with a soft voice. Then we may need to put a microphone back there.
Okay. Well, let's get some input from people.
But the last time we did it and tested it, it sounded fine.
Okay.
So are we going to officially implement this or?
Yeah, we did it as a trial. I think you just continue on and it become a normal thing. I don't know if we need a motion for it. I think we just need to agree to
Just,
it.
yeah, we just agree
The
that,
thing for the public and for everybody to keep in mind is the link for the township board meetings. I scheduled that as a recurring meeting, so that shouldn't change. But if you have a special meeting, that link isn't going to work. It'll be a different link. So just know, if you're trying to access the meeting via Zoom and it's a special meeting, you need to pay attention to what the link is. You can't just use the one from the regular township board meetings. So,
And if it's a special meeting called in a short order, that's just gonna be up there. It might only be up there 18 hours in advance.
Potentially.
So if you're looking, you'd have to look at the website to see that, to see there's been a special meeting scheduled and also to find that link.
link, right?
Yeah. Because you can't put it up 2 weeks ahead of time when in fact we don't know if there's a special meeting.
Correct.
Okay. Well, that'll be fine. That'll be, okay. Anything else on that?
No.
Okay. ARPA, CPR,
ARPA, CPR, when we had our ARPA meeting, the CPR presentation, they would like an answer on that because they're gonna have to implement that soon. The
Okay.
CPR
Yeah, no, I
implement with the
remember. How much
public
was it?
and. I'm gonna go get my folder.
I don't remember.
This is all big stuff. Holy moly, big cat a lot.
It wasn't much fun.
No, the CPR, oh, there's Mary Jo right there. 20 people at $37 each.
Right, it wasn't. It's under that, it was under 800 some bucks, 800 bucks.
Right.
Going to make a motion that we just no more than 800 or you want to?
So my only question is, who's taking the class? Is it open to the public? Or is that,
Oh, yeah, it's gonna be the public.
okay,
It's
Yes.
whoever goes to New York Bar Friends.
Okay, so that's just an estimate of how many people, could be more or less, a little bit, but not a lot.
No, but I was talking with Caitlin on that, and there was a little confusion on her end. Because the people still have to take a course online.
That's what, yeah, this is what I know. Yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
they still have to do the course online and pay for that, and then this is something,
After?
Then you would have
Yes.
the exam where you do
Right.
the,
right,
Okay,
right.
so that person's gonna take the course online themselves first, and then this is to pay for the,
I believe that's what she told me.
okay.
I think I remember that whole conversation. I think that whoever signs up for it had a particular date to get the online stuff done,
Yeah, there's so many
which
days.
is basically the classroom stuff. And then the clinical, the hands-on, was gonna be a different date
Mhm,
here with
mhm.
the.
So is somebody in the fire department gonna kind of shepherd this then, if we prove it to make sure it happens and all that stuff, or how's that?
Well, it sounds like Caitlin's gonna put her certificate up as an instructor.
Okay,
Yeah,
So my question is that if you have 37 people, the state will probably tell her that she's gotta have another
no,
instructor.
20 people.
20,
Mhm,
oh, $37.
but she could break that into two classes if it needed.
Well, no, 20 is fine, I think.
Right now, we're only, that's being limited, that's being made available to a small group of people. Why wouldn't we open it to the public?
that is the public.
It is the public. We're talking about.
It is the public, it's a small group of people is the public, I guess whoever wants to do it,
What
Al.
I heard was it was your preference, which is in.
well, it's part of the Farm.
But it's open
Friends
anyway.
program. That's what,
Farm
so and
is
that's
the
open to the
public.
public. That's what I understand. There was,
Is
at
it?
Near Farm Friends, there was some people brought this up that other people need to know how to do CPR and stuff, or basic stuff, and that's what they thought of.
And if we open it up and advertise it and we end up with 80 people that apply, what do we do?
You
Call timeout.
pick 20.
Because each first come, first served.
Each
Yeah.
instructor can only do
Yeah.
so many at one setting.
Yeah.
I mean.
But if you had 80 and they all 80 wanted to do it, I guess you do it one class after, you'd have another class
Yeah.
if they truly wanted to do it. I mean,
We, the ARPA supplies so much funds and that's it.
Because you have to have so many mannequins per person,
Right.
typically two people per mannequin.
Okay, so you want to just cap it at a certain value?
We'll make it like $1,000 or something.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
I'll make a motion that we pay for this CPR training up to $1,000 using ARPA funds.
Second by Bob, okay. Any other discussion? None? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried, okay.
You guys should think about publicizing it on the web. So you, well,
We can do that.
somebody's gotta find out how.
What group does this, Pat, do you know what group this goes to?
Near Farm Friends, so it would be Mary Fairgrade. I mean, she was the one that, they set up the program, the committee.
We should still mention this like on the website and see if we can see how many people are.
We'll do it on social media too.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Harbor Commission report.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, no, Pat, I
Cigarette
apologize. Yeah, I have you written down here. Cigarette smokers. Go ahead.
Cigarette recycling receptacle.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Same thing, cigarettes. Go ahead, Pat, I'm sorry.
Okay, so, I went to the Parks and Rec and they gave their blessing to try, one of the receptacles at, Langland Park for a year. So I would like to ask for at least $150 of the ARPA funds and somebody to help put it in with a post hole digger.
Well, it's just going,
It goes on a steel pole, and what I understand, it's just, you use a post hole digger.
so do you put it up by the parking lot or do you put it down the beach? Or
No, not down on the beach. It would go by the parking lot, and that area where we place it will be determined with Parks and Rec.
So, we're gonna put one of the trash cans back where the dog litter thing is.
Okay.
Because the dog litter thing is being filled with nothing but trash, and the trash is causing the dog litter to fall at the bottom when you open it. So we're gonna put that back and then we'll put this next to that. So there'll be the cigarette, the trash can, and then the dog litter thing at the north entrance.
And hope they put the cigarettes in the right container.
There's some question to whether that's gonna happen or not. That's why I said, let's try it for a year.
Okay,
Well, the most cigarettes that have been found on the garden bucket, they're, King Beach today. And very specific, how you have to do that. You have to count every cigarette butt you found, and all what's it like that. So I think for 5 years running, cigarette butts were the number 1 or number 2 pieces of trash.
I'm not aware. I don't know. I
And they
think
Yeah,
found
that's
most
the
of
garden
them,
club that does the beach sweep.
they found most of them in the parking lot, so I
Okay.
assume.
so somebody want to make a motion towards that end or no?
What's it gonna cost, $150?
$150, that's what, you know, I'm asking all the businesses, and I'll have to see what the village, you know, is gonna put in. I haven't heard about the grant from the garden club yet, so everything's like.
So is the township then buying the receptacle and it'll be ours, or is it?
Yeah, it'll be yeah.
I'll make that motion that we use $150 of ARPA funds for a trial for the cigarette receptacle at the park.
Okay, so there's a second?
I will.
Second by Shelley, okay. Any discussion? None, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah, thank you.
And you can tell me your power, what happened with your generator.
Oh, what a day.
I know, but 4 or 5 of them went out, which doesn't make sense to me.
No.
You didn't have to make the expert.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
No, that's the only thing that connects them is.
That's, to me, it's the only thing that connects them, right? Okay,
I don't know, tell you later.
yeah, okay, thanks. Harbor Commission now.
I've been in contact with the Corps and they're working on the documents for dredging.
Okay, what does it look like?
They indicated that we probably will be early next year.
Okay,
So I would say probably, hopefully May.
okay,
And yesterday, the marina gave a sailboat my cell phone number. And they texted me and wanted to know what the depth of the channel was, if they could get in, because they wanted to spend the night in Portage Lake. And texted them back, and they apparently came in. I was on the lake this morning and there was a sailboat leaving, so.
okay. You don't know how much they needed.
No, they didn't tell me how much depth they needed.
We got a request for that too, about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah?
Somebody wanted to know what the channel depth was. And the last number I heard was it's 12 foot. The channel.
It's still pretty much 12 foot.
I wonder if we should put that out somewhere from, I can get it from my brother-in-law, he's fishing twice a day. I mean, at some point it'd be easy information to get between everyone that goes
Doesn't the
out.
Corps publish something?
I don't know.
I can tell you.
I'd be hesitant to have the township put their name on something that says, here's the depth, and it not be the depth, and
Well, usually the marina.
Well, it changes. The marina usually has it posted?
Well, they should, because Ted's on the harbor commission. I think that when they get requests like this, I don't know who gave them my cell number, but.
That wasn't me, they didn't call
Yeah,
me.
I'm sure Ted may not have been available, so, but I had no problem in doing it, so.
Okay.
Then say, according to Ted.
Yeah.
Well, the only problem,
Actually, it was according to Kevin.
one problem. that you-
See, it was, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah, see.
The north pier, you come in there and then when you get to the end of it and you're in Portage Lake and you head for the Portage Point Inn, it's not 12 foot there.
no.
No,
You gotta go out in the lake, where we don't cut the corner.
Yeah.
I can't help how other people.
if you
drive.
cut the corner going to the north, I think you're gonna get to 8 foot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's got shell.
So if you go down the center, you're still good.
Okay,
I have a question. So the north pier where the rocks. do they
That's
put the
gonna be part
concrete
of
down?
next year's.
Yeah, because it's actually settling a little bit. It's probably, there's spots that are probably a foot down now.
Right,
They're gonna fill that in.
as part of next year's dredging.
That's great. Thank you for that.
with dirt or with concrete or with?
Rock.
With rock.
With rock, okay.
Additional, that bring more rock in.
And then just another comment, it's not really Harbor Commission, but the access to the North Pier where that's, what street is that that goes in front of, Galbraith's house? That's washed out on the left-hand side. I know that's probably a county thing, but.
Is that Avenue E?
Yeah,
Yes.
That's on the agenda for roads.
okay. Yeah, so the left side of that is washed out pretty good, so it's kind of a ravine.
Okay, towards the house,
No, it'd be on the west side of that little square parking.
or the west,
We're
okay,
down towards the pier,
towards Brooks,
or towards the pier, yeah, it's the last little section of it.
okay.
We said it's pretty bad.
Will the Corps consider dredging from the DNR launch out to?
If the DNR will pay them.
The DNR has a lot of money.
We have.
That's what we hear.
The last time we.
Don't they?
We had a deal for
We
them,
did
and they
support
didn't
the-
take it.
We did support the channel when you did the channel and we did all that. We threw a lot of parks money at it, so.
No.
How about throwing some more money at it and paving the roads and also dredging to the DNR launch?
Yeah, I shared this with you. I asked and they turned me down. So
Right, so they got plenty of money, but it's not coming here.
Maybe we should stop buying recreational
higher
passports, like license plates more than one.
it's different pots of money too, so you have to find the right pot.
Tell them we'd like ours to look as nice as Frankfurt's.
Don't shoot the messenger.
I'm sorry. No, I'm not shooting. No, not him. It's not him. No, I'm just saying he can put a good word in for us. I didn't sound right.
What's the way to approach them on the dredging?
So there's a cost sharing for the Army Corps dredging, is that what you have?
That's what we got coming in next year.
And so there's a cost sharing you have to come up with?
No,
No, they pay for it.
He's talking about the boat launch. What can we do to help get that along?
Well,
That's
I
what
guess my backhoe's in the shop, so that's the problem. And it's at the one here on 8 Mile,
Uh-huh.
31. It hasn't been fixed yet, so that's the problem.
how long's it been there?
Over a year.
Pardon me?
So I-
not
so I-
that's storage.
Yeah.
So that can be dredged, it's just a matter of equipment or?
Well, used to be able to go and dredge our DNR ramps, just take a few bucket loads out without getting the Eagle permit, but there's a change of some of those folks, and I've been told that an Eagle permit may be required, so.
I regularly launch my boat there. And so if this is the boat launch going into the water.
Yeah.
It would help if that was a little deeper, but there's not much you can do about that. But once you get in the water, it needs to be about 75 yards, just straight out.
Right.
Maybe just a couple extra feet.
We did some soundings this spring on that, and I think it was 3.5 feet in general, all the way. And when I took that to folks, they said, oh, that should be enough. So, but the water's going down and, we may have to approach that. There was a channel dredge, as I understand it. I wasn't here at the time, years ago, and that has certainly filled in. And sometimes when you do the soundings, you can tell that this used to be the channel, and because it's not as firm.
Right.
I didn't really feel that my staff didn't feel that when we were out there doing the soundings this spring, the 3.5 feet. So, that's not the threshold for my folks in Lansing, 3.5 feet, they say that's enough.
Okay.
So that's enough for small flat bottom boats or, 18 footers, but there's bigger boats now that are trying to launch there because of the village park is generally full.
That would have to be an Army Corps permit too, so that would be a lot of review.
Which is your boat?
So,
I have to trim my motor up all the way.
You do?
Pretty much, yeah.
So our letter we submitted got poo-pooed?
I haven't heard nothing back
Maybe 2 feet.
from her.
neither have I.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
I shared that information that, because they wanted us to do the soundings, and I shared that information, and I haven't heard anything back.
Okay.
A guy that's been doing this kind of work for over 40 years, said 3.5 is good. When you go less than that, then we'll get some reaction. What you'd have to have is you know, to dredge all that out, that's a lot of equipment, that's a lot of permitting and
But if we tied it to when they're doing the channel, that would seem that
mobilizing,
some of
yeah.
the equipment would already be here.
Okay, so I guess we're.
And that was the proposal that was made to them before, because I think, didn't the Harbor Commission put
They didn't
put
say that
together
in the letter.
a proposal or ask for a proposal for the Corps if they would dredge?
No, the letter was to the DNR for dredging that. We didn't put in to have the Corps.
No. I
Well,
didn't
this
see
is the
that.
last time it was dredged. Wasn't there a proposal made? Can we just
No,
run it over?
that was we asked the dredger what it would cost to do it. And we took it to the DNR and the DNR
Okay.
didn't want to spend.
Yeah, they want to spend the money. Okay,
I can do that again, Doug, and see.
Well,
what
no, I
happens.
mean, we can talk about, let's have a conversation, Jim, about, you know, if you have a crew mobilized and, I mean, if the projection is that the water level goes down more, then we can bring that into play and, I
Okay.
don't know, Ed, if you want to be part of that discussion or something, or at least
Okay.
talk with us.
Yeah, I just, I
and
mean,
the water level's still going down? a little bit?
Yeah,
Okay.
of the lack of precipitation and the,
You should put a sign up. that says
Evaporation.
Power loading.
Okay.
There's a guy in a 16-foot a day doing.
It's very common.
Yeah.
power. Board.
Power loading, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Parks and Rec, back.
Okay, well, for your reading pleasure in the packet was the July 7th approved meeting minutes, the 28th agenda, and the preliminary minutes. And I also included in there all the traffic reports for Langland and Glen. And I guess the question I have for you guys is, do you want us to include that in this packet? Because it's 10 extra pages, and I can include it going forward, or I can just send it to you separately, or send it to you as requested. Up to you.
I don't think it needs to be in the packet, but I like to see it.
All right, so I'll just send it to whoever's interested in it, or I'll send it to you.
Just send it
All
to
the
the
board
board.
members.
Just send it to the board members.
Okay. There was also in the package a citizens benchmark study regarding bathrooms and trash based on his attendance at our meeting. And very interesting, this gentleman contacted Arcadia, Ludington, Interlochen Center for the Arts, Manistee, Sleeping Bear National Park, and Traverse City, and said, what do you guys do about trash on the 4th of July? And what do you do about bathrooms? And really, really interesting results. I mean, you got to give him credit. He made, you know, those 6 phone calls to find out who I should talk to, and then the 6 phone calls to talk to the people that were in charge. And they said, look, we all know that there's demand spikes, so you got to have a flexible budget, and you got to have a flexible workforce to do it. The most important thing is to get a timely recovery and make sure that it's a consistent visit for all of your guests. The tone was, we have to do this because it's a reflection on our community. Customers want a clean beach and a clean bathroom, so we just do it. They focus on 90% of the visitors, not the 10% that cause problems. And I know we've talked about the 10% a lot, but all the other communities say, yeah, they're there. There's nothing you can do about it. And the cost of, you know, getting them to comply is more than the money worth the money spending. So just do what you need to do. They all said that they experience incremental trash from the surrounding community, including industrial fluids, batteries, spoiled food. So it's not just us, it's everybody. And the comment was, it comes with the territory. And that's where they said the cost of compliance just doesn't justify. And they said that the only secondary waste containers they've offered in locations with a pet, which was one of the reasons that we questioned whether we should go with the cigarette thing, because there's a lot of comments that say they just aren't going to use it. But let's try it for a year, see if it works.
And most of those places did not have like a dumpster.
No, they have a variety of different things. Some have dumpsters, some have trash cans. It depends on the size of the facility. It all depended. The best practices were that make sure the containers are empty before you go. increase the number of bins prior to the peak, and then increase your service levels up to 3x. So, I mean, it's happening, so just deal with it. As far as the bathrooms, close the bathroom facilities and lock them, replace them with 5x portables. So, and they said they've had the same problems with people knocking the toilets off, just lock them and put in 5 or 6 of the portables, have them there the week before and get them out of there the next day.
Well, that's one, the last porta potty we had at Langland, for example, just before we got ready to start up get ready to build the, ball toilets. One night, somebody just came in and they pushed them over.
That's the 10%.
Yeah.
And we got, and that's where they say, staff up the next morning, you need to have those people there to put them back up. So I'm just reiterating this, I thought a fascinating report from all the communities around us. As far as the challenges, they said they've had really mixed results with the cameras, whether they're faux cameras or real cameras. There was some comments about, they're talking about Facebook to help get volunteers in the public. So something we could think about. And then they reduce their work schedules to bank hours to make sure that they've got plenty of hours available for these rush times. So it's in your packet. It's good reading. And I really commend the gentleman who just showed up at our meeting, heard what we were talking about, and said, let me do some research and help you guys. So
Okay.
I thought that was great. Al, you wanted to mention some of the activities for the Onekama days and.
Yeah, there was 4 basic activities Parks and Rec spearheaded. One of them was learn about Glen Park. Help me if I'm right, I'm running from memory.
Well, so the numbers were that we had a yoga event, 20 people, adventure walk, 19 people. There was a children's science, had 44 people at it. There was a scavenger hunt that had 30 teams registered, 135 people in those 30 teams, and 17 teams actually completed, meaning they went to every single one of the parks. And then they had a butterfly palooza. There was kind of a last minute emergency where the original vendor, all the butterflies died. And so at the last minute, we're catching up. And they had something where now, instead of a mass butterfly release, it was individuals got to do it.
Which was even better.
And apparently it really worked out great. So that, the tragedy turned out to be something great.
I worked with the kids and, when they gave them the little envelope and stuff, they'd open them up and stuff like this. And when girl had it crawling over her head and stuff like this, they were just fascinated with it. But the interesting thing is, nobody left that event without a smile. They were all smiling coming out of there. A lot of them liked it. We're trying to appeal to more younger folks. And we got them too. There was about 150 people at the butterfly thing, and there was probably at least 20 dogs on leashes.
So at the September meeting, I'm going to ask Jean to prepare a presentation to the board. This was a test this summer, so she needs to present what happened, what was good. I mean, my observation was that with Jean's help, these events really went very, very well. You got to give Michelle and Jean the credit for that because they did all the work. And that was, I think, the most visible thing that came out of it.
The other thing you need to know is that there's been 2 people that have funded some of these things out of their own pocket. I'm one of them, and the builder,
Brett Matthew.
Brett Matthew, the ones that have been sponsoring some of that event. He sponsored the one in North Point Park. I sponsored the I did some of that, but the biggest one was the scavenger hunt. Trying to get people to go back. Remember the Sharks in the Park thing? It was kind of like that, and people really liked that, so we went to a scavenger hunt. Made it a little bit more up to date and use of tools and stuff like that, kind of thing.
And that's where went to the event or the local merchants to donate things for the prizes and that sort of thing. So, anyway, a great weekend. The open items and questions for the board are about ARPA. I mean, we had presented our 5 items and wondering if there's any approval or other meeting schedules. What's the status? What's the next step?
I think we about half committed, isn't it?
But I think we had talked about just kind of in the back of the envelopes, maybe half for township / fire needs and half for parks, but we haven't voted. I mean, the only money we've allocated out of ARPA was for the boat, for the CPR and for the cigarette stuff today. So
Okay, I'm just being asked because we asked the committee to come up with their ideas. They
Right.
came up with the ideas and now they're asking me, so,
Well, and another thing we have to remember, all the funds that we did for the property sales is going towards the parks as well. So there's
Well-
that money too.
but that was about $5,000, wasn't it? I mean, all told.
No, it was more than that.
I think that's total up and stuff.
Yeah, less than 10 for sure. But yeah, anything is welcome. So, all right, so I'll report that there's nothing.
Well, then maybe we should add that as an agenda at the next meeting, but, forgive me, I can't remember, did you guys prioritize those or not?
Well, we had,
Yeah.
the seating at North Point, we said is $7,000. We asked for the
Yeah,
full
that one.
thing. The other 3 were, matches for bigger projects, like, the Langland mitigation. We were supposed to get topos. They're not quite here yet, but we'll get those very shortly, and then we'll see what happens after that. Spicer has to come back to the board and prove that they're going to make some sort of real engineering study. Otherwise, you won't authorize the $6,500 for the second half of it. So we're waiting for the topos on that. And I explained to Spicer that not only do you deliver to topos, you also explain to the board and answer all their questions about the next part of it and whether they're willing to go forward with it. So, have your questions ready. And I'm guessing now that we'll just do it at the next meeting. Second item is an expense item that we did include in the budget. We'd like to spend somewhere less than $500 on fire rings for Langland. People have fires. We only have 2 or 3 fire rings out there, so they put them wherever they want. Gene says that it's pretty predictable where they have them each time. So why don't we just put rings there so that people are not stepping in hot coals and that sort of thing. So in our budget, we have plenty, but we didn't allocate for that specifically. I called Cadillac Culvert, and if we got the largest 18 by 36, it'd be $360. So something in the range of 500 would be more than enough. I could go pick them up.
I think fire rings are a great idea. I think the beach looks nasty when people have fires.
Oh.
They have a fire somewhere else and a fire somewhere else. How many of them do you think we need down there?
3, 4.
Well, we have 3 now. I think we thought 5 more. Jean thought if she did that, she could put them where they're doing it, and that should cover us, and maybe that will.
And how much is 5? What did you say it was?
Yeah, 5 would be $360. So I
I don't want to make that motion.
I would definitely make that motion. My only comment would be when the summer's over, nobody's using them anymore, and they sit there all winter and get covered with sand, are they gonna be removed?
No, they need to be moved.
Yes.
They absolutely, they will be moved.
I think someone reported that one of the neighbors has one on their property.
What happened is we have one that has been moved south of the boundaries. And again, I don't know if this is a Steve thing or what, but we don't really have anybody other than, I guess, me to go down and pick it up and move it back. We also have the front end of a boat cushion that's been there for 3 weeks too. So this gets back to our other issue. We're gonna have to figure out a better maintenance situation for Langland.
Yeah, and do we need to just, again, if somebody were to grab one and move it, should we somehow label it of Onekama Township, just and, carve it in with a little, just in case? I mean,
I'll ask them if they can.
or I mean, even if we did it, just some way to know that they're ours and not somebody else's, that one of them walks off. And
We could use the village approach on movable pieces, make them too heavy to move.
well, that works.
It does work.
Well, I mean,
How are we gonna move them?
Are we gonna move in?
that was the question, because they asked me at Cadillac Culvert, do you want the double kind where you've got cement in between? And I thought, well, not in my truck. I just don't have the wherewithal to do that. I'm trying
It's
to
a
find.
Dodge.
It's not the truck.
Oh,
It's the 70-year-old man. That's the truck.
that's the breakdown, man.
So,
So
okay.
you need $360 or
So
whatever.
you made a motion, I need a second for that first. Okay, now we're in discussion, thank you.
Not to exceed or?
Not to exceed.
Yeah, and Shelley, you and I'll figure out how to pay for it.
Wait, are we having more discussion? You want to vote? Vote? Well, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, okay. Next, Beck.
History Ad Hoc Committee, I'm bringing this to you as best I understand it.
I can help.
Okay, great. We were asked or advised that there needs to be some final determination on the Onekama 150 funds. Funds were apparently donated and earmarked for the history project. As part of the Onekama 150, there was a downtown walking tour written by Tom Gerhart and edited by Kathy Sear. Tour had 12 stopping points. The fund balance was just under 6,500, 375 spent so far on some flyers. Balance is about 6125. There is a proposal to use the remaining funds to create history building plaques for the 12 stops. The cost of the plaques would be the remaining 6,000, so about 500 per plaque. They would be very, very nice plaques. The one, the person that we talked to is Donna at the Glenwood, and she is absolutely supportive of it, but would like to see it. I think there were also four other people that were spoken to. So Al, can you bail me out here?
Yeah, I mean, people we've approached about being in part of the tour and stuff like this and having the plaque, they've all been very, very, very positive. The plaque is not the official state plaque type thing. It's a plaque that would be designed just for Onekama, and we use it for Onekama historic markers.
Yeah, Macbeth, Glenwood, and Blue Slipper have been talked to at this point, all very excited about the possibility.
We wanted to talk to the churches, Church of the Brethren, Trinity Lutheran, and keep going down.
Yeah, I saw the walk. I'm sure you guys have all seen it from the 150 thing. It was really extensive, a lot of work done. Looks pretty good. I mean, it's your decision. That money was earmarked for it. Do you want to use it for that? If you do, then that committee will, shepherd the project.
I'll make that motion. Use that money for important flags.
For a second.
I'll support that.
Okay.
My comment would be, once we get that figured out, as we figure out a way to publicize it, but also like, we need to have a page on the township's website that talks about that, so people know where this stuff is and stuff.
Yeah.
I think those plaques are a big draw. I see people looking at the ones they have in other communities all the time. It's part of the attraction. So I think that's a really good use of it, especially if you're not gonna do a museum. I mean, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, it's not for $6,000, right?
Well, unless you wanted to put it in CDs or something and wait for another 150 years
No.
and then we could spend it then. Okay. 300? Okay. Discussion anymore? Done? All in favor?
One last question. Will the Parks Commission, then they're gonna take the lead on that? Or-
The ad hoc subcommittee
Of the
will
parks.
take the lead on that, and that is Michelle, and Al's been a big part of that.
Okay.
And I'll do whatever I can to help them.
We got Kathy Sayers.
Oh, there's quite a group of people that are involved with that. I mean, Al, Michelle for sure. Kathy Sire, Mary Jo McElroy, Alice Ross, Ellen Somsel, Mark Orr. I mean, that's
Okay.
Yeah.
I only ask that this time the invoices get turned in.
I'll pass that message on.
Right, thank you.
Okay.
Are all those plaques in the village?
The locations,
I would say
No,
not
no.
because
I don't think
you'll
so.
probably have Portage Point Inn, will get a plaque, right?
We have gazebo.
Right, Al?
Covenant.
Red
I don't
Park.
think so.
I had so much paper to print. I didn't
Red
print
Park,
the
I'm
answer to that.
just thinking, yeah, there's more than just,
What this was supposed to line up with the walking tour
Yes,
downtown. That's how they were trying to.
Oh,
and it was pretty much the buildings in town, and then the history, who owns it now, who owned it since it was built in 1912 or whatever.
so nothing out in the township, all in the village? I think that's.
I don't think there was anything out at the end, but I'm not 100%
I'll
sure.
bring it up. 'Cause
There
they were-
should be.
There should be, is what I'm saying.
About Portage Point Inn, there was some discussion about the church camps. because they go back a long way. And then Wickedy Wild and Red Park. We added those to there, and I'll bring it up at the next meeting.
Yeah, I think those should be included, stuff like that.
Or as an addendum or as an addition.
Oh, it was all in town. Okay.
See, he said all the time, we all, I know we have to.
Well, Jim is saying it's all in town.
Yeah, and I think it should be expanded if you're gonna do it, because I think that's reminiscent.
Yeah, I'll take it back to
Okay,
the group.
And I'll make a note also.
might have to have smaller plans, okay.
Or, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, there's something different, or cut some out.
Medallion.
A medallion. All those in favor about spending the money like that, though, that we have not voted on? Aye. Aye. Opposed? That's carried, thank you.
That's it.
Okay,
No,
no, it's not.
Oh, that's a planning thing. That's you. I'll help you.
I thought that was the recreation.
Well, it is a recreation map as part of the planning thing, so if we're ready to
Hold
go
on,
there, yeah.
you're not there yet. Fire report, go ahead, Rob.
If they're all warmed up, they can go.
No,
No,
they're not warmed up.
I gotta get the right.
In your right state of mind, but what's
Okay, so July fire report, we had 31 runs for July. With that puts us about 19 runs in front of last year at this time. So,
How many of those were grass fires?
huh?
How many of those were grass or brush fires?
No, we didn't really have a lot in July.
mm-mm.
More so in June.
Yeah. Yep, we had a big one over there in June. So we had 5 mutual aid runs, 4 in the Bear Lake and 1 in the Dixon Township, which the Dixon Township was a pretty serious PI accident that they requested us to help them on. And then there was 3 lift assists, which was part of some of those mutual aid, 15 fire runs, which were some of that mutual aid, 21 EMS runs, again, mutual aid, some of them, and then 4 runs in the Brown Township. A couple of them were in the mutual aid department, but so right now we're trying to schedule a live helo training, which is a CEU that we have to attend with Aeromed this month yet. We're gonna try to get it done.
You do it at the school again?
Yeah, so we're gonna have it at the baseball field, which is up at the end of Zozo Street over by the bus garage. Once we get that set in stone, barring no emergencies on their part, we'll put something out on the website so if people want to come up to kind of watch that whole.
Yeah, there was a lot of interest the last time, but.
Yeah.
The timing wasn't going very well.
Yeah.
So that
So
was maybe what, 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah.
The training?
that ended up being a real,
That was a live one.
that ended up being a live
Recorded.
training because they had a bad car accident out east.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, that
When
one
they
too.
had to come here and load that, I don't remember that.
Yeah, they were gonna land in the baseball field and there was a fog bank that came in, so they were just kind of circling instead of landing. And then all of a sudden that car accident happened and they ended up going to the Bear Lake baseball field because the fog bank was still that far away. We had to wait for the ambulance to come in with the patient.
Oh, wow.
So it was actually a real deal, but, so with that training is kind of radio communication with the pilot and landing, preferences and stuff like that. But they will be low, they will be circling, and I'd rather put something out that we're doing it versus everybody trying to race up there to see what's going on and it cause more problems.
Like the 2, 8, 10 Warthogs going over.
What's
Yeah,
that?
that was when my brother was here.
8, 10 Warhawk.
Oh, yeah, they were pretty
Warthogs.
cool. Yeah,
Flew right over on that, flew right over my house.
yeah. Yeah, they were pretty intense. Anyways, we'll put something out on the website so people maybe, if they wanna come watch or something, it's pretty cool. If you haven't seen it, you know, we can get kind of close to that. So the new rescue has been delivered to Allied Fire, for equipment install and painting. However, Ford didn't notify them that it was a few weeks ahead of schedule, so they didn't order any of the parts to put into it.
Didn't expect it.
So it didn't change anything on the delivery date. Delivery date's still gonna be towards the tail end of the year, so we didn't benefit from that, bad communication on Ford's part. We need to get flow testing done on our air pack, so you're gonna see the $550 bill for flow testing. The Queen will come in and do that. The boat is in the water and is in service. We've been training on it, learning the sonar and the GPS system. We had, a couple of us had gone out with a off-duty, donated his time being our officer to take us out and run down through all the different screens and the GPS and how the sonar works and get a good feel of that. So we've been kind of practicing with the, navigating the boat by GPS only. So that's kind of been interesting. And we spent a lot of time out by the green buoy, putting a bow on it, putting the starboard side on it, putting the port side on it, stuff like that. So we came up with a couple good drills. We're gonna share with the rest of the department. So between Caitlin, myself, we will be taking other members out and training them as we.
How many people are you gonna try to have that can run the bar,
Try to do all, eventually all. And then somewhere in the next, probably next summer sometime, we'll try to find a open water rescue certification class.
Okay.
We already had one of them, and we got a couple of members that are certified already in that. It was a few years ago, they were here in town that did it. If we can get, a class here again, that would be great. If not, maybe we'll take people somewhere to find a class, but that's kind of the long-term plan with that.
Get the downrigger for it yet?
No downriggers, nope, none of them. I haven't even seen a fish out of it yet, so,
Killed all the fish.
yeah.
Invasive species.
We did have the onboard battery charger that came with the boat, failed. So whether it failed or it didn't work, there seems to be a little discussion about that, but, anyways, Onekama Marine installed a new one for us already and got the shore power working, and, so that'll ensure the village pumps will run for extended period of times, even if we're not on the boat. So that was something that we didn't see coming. Ironically, we did have a call out on Portage Lake already.
During the parade.
Yeah, timing was terrible, but, it was, came across as a distressed boater with a child on board. That was about all the information we had, other than a rough location. Wasn't necessarily, as we found out as we got out there, it was good practice for us. We launched the boat, got out there, located the boat. It was just a broken down boat is what it was. Grandma was on shore, panicked when the daughter called and said, hey, we're broke down. She panicked a little bit, called 911 and said, oh my goodness, they're in distress.
Sure.
So as that works forward, we will work with Central Dispatch to weed them calls out. Dispatch has to learn questions to ask.
So in this particular situation, did we tow them in? Or
We did not.
We're not a tow company.
They
So
were
we're not-
already connected to another boat
Okay.
and things were going great, so we just kind of idled alongside of them and escorted them, make sure no other boats got interfered with them. So, yeah, we're not in the business of hooking on the boats and towing them, unless it's a true emergency. So, and again, the director of 911 and myself have had conversations about moving forward, having discussions on calls that we should not have really been even dispatched to. And so it's a work in progress with them guys, but just so you know, that line of communication is there already, and we will have that dialogue. So dispatchers just have to learn what questions to ask before they just hit our button. So, yeah, so that, take care of that. Again, this is a big deal we're getting a lot of positive comments, thumbs up when we're out on the boat. It's about time, long overdue, that kind of stuff. But I know being in the business that for every one of them, there's someone saying, what the hell do you need a boat for type thing. But so far it's all been really positive, and again, it's been a big deal for our fire department to get that boat here back in service as quick as we did. So just like to thank the Township Board again for working with us on that whole deal. And getting the rest of the equipment that was needed. I also would, and you guys touched on already, and I don't know exactly whatever resolution, I don't know what that is necessarily as far as for Onekama Marine, but I'd like to go on record to extend a huge thanks to Ted Bromley and his crew over at Onekama Marine. They have done an absolute phenomenal job with all of my phone calls and our requests and getting stuff in and calling me when it's here and when the battery charger went, we obviously had low voltage alarms and village pumps that weren't working properly. They jumped right on that for us and we got everything going again. And they helped outfit the boat with all the protective equipment that we needed, life jackets and stuff like that.
Coast Guard don't ticket yet.
Right, we want to stay on a good side of those guys. So, and he's, the stuff that he can't absorb easily, like rope and stuff, bolt rope, he's just selling to us at cost. He's not marking it up at all. And so, that's been a huge, and then the boat slip has been donated. So, that's a huge expense right there that we avoided, so.
No, they won't.
And that'll be a standing thing with him. He said, as long as you guys have a boat, you got a boat slip. So,
Really?
yeah, so, yeah, they've been absolutely wonderful. Yeah,
Okay.
delayed the work. So, that's about all I had. I do, and I don't know the family that donated the AED. We did have a family donate a waterproof case AED for the boat.
Oh, wow, okay.
And along with the Stokes basket, which Stokes basket is that big metal cage that keeps you from sliding around.
Yeah, we just have to order.
Yeah, we haven't got the Stokes basket, but the AED's already here and they come with infant and child pads along with adult pads. So,
Oh,
yeah, and they come in a big, nice, bright yellow Pelican case, waterproof.
Yeah, right from MMR.
Right from MMR, so that happened very quickly. I don't remember the lady's name.
Sherry Carey.
She actually stopped here the first day we got it back from, we got it, came in.
was that?
She lives next to Margaret Punches.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, she was ecstatic that we had it, and she asked if there was anything that she could do to help us, and I
didn't
just said,
know
well,
that
I
was right.
could use an AED and a Stokes basket.
Should have said we could have used a new Suburban.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, things are good with that.
Good. Okay, I appreciate all that and shout out to Ted for doing that. I didn't realize he said, as long as we had the boat, that's really quite a cost savings, you know, for a slip, and very nice of them to do that. So I got a response from the county that said that the grant cycle's open for the next grant applications for the tribal.
So we need to put in for the apparatus.
I'd put something in for the new truck.
That's what I mean.
Apparatus, I'm sorry, okay.
Good thinking, Dave.
You know, and the other truck, you can put two of them in, I don't care.
Yeah, do you know, is Brown gonna?
I
reach out
already
to-
talked to them, but I'll reach out to them to do the same thing, sure.
I wouldn't suggest if we're gonna go for some big money on the pumper, I just do the pumper and call it a day.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if it's a collaborative with Brown Township, that'll get some traction.
Yeah, I've heard talks of, there's probably not gonna be a lot of money this round,
Oh,
gonna be a small,
you can always resubmit.
right?
It'll be a year and a half.
Yeah.
So it's not like we don't have time.
Mhm. Yeah.
Apparently no one's gambling as much as they did, I
Right,
guess. So,
be an indicator that their foot traffic's down out there a little bit.
I'm sure. So, okay,
But, I believe that's all I got unless there's questions, from anybody or. Good job, you guys.
thanks, Rob.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you.
And I didn't think that, everyone in the parade that I was sitting by went, what is this? What, these guys, did they stage this? It was like somebody called this in just so they could blast through town and get to the park. Cause it went so fast, everyone went, where's the candy?
Yeah.
It was so funny. It was
So,
like,
So, yeah, so everybody says that we went really fast, maybe for a parade speed, but we really are only.
You weren't going very
20
fast.
miles an hour.
But
so-
for parade
for
speed, it
parade
was
speed,
fast.
it was fast.
And I said, they're on a run. How do you know that? I said, because I could tell by the way those guys look, they're going to the park and launch that thing. They're not in the parade anymore.
Yeah, no, our focus came to
Yeah, I know.
spectators and getting there safely and,
So that was all right.
oh, yeah. Interesting, bad timing, but.
Bad timing, but whatever. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Avenue E.
Yes, I had a gentleman come in and request that Avenue E get some work done to it because it is terrible.
Take care of that.
Okay. Down by the little jog? Okay. Is that what we're talking about? Good. Anything else on roads? You get that 11-mile bid?
Nope.
Okay.
Something's going on down there. They were doing,
They're doing gas.
and, yeah, so are they trying to do that before the pavement?
Yeah, I think the gas line's in.
It was on the other side, the gas work they're doing was on the other side of County too. But I think they're running it down to that new house that's down there.
But isn't the gas run down to the west?
Yeah, it's already in.
It's already in, that's what I mean. Oh,
Should be on 11 now.
Should be cables in there.
it's hanging
Fiber
on,
optics should be in.
is it? Hanging on the poles?
All the Tomingas, I think, paid for the gas well.
They did to go all the way
That's
up.
already in. They did that last year.
Okay, but the cable is, the internet cable, is it down there? Hanging on the poles? That's somebody told me, yes.
Yeah, it's all-
You're
that's
hooked
all.
up,
I'm hooked up.
works
Works.
good?
Yeah.
You got spectrum?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got spectrum, then. Very good.
Guys, they're in the middle of nowhere. That's something. Anyways,
Gotta
planning,
Thank the feds for that.
planning commission.
We have a meeting, next week.
Oh, okay.
At that meeting, we'll be discussing amending the communication tower part of our ordinance. This is from the Manistee planners.
Okay.
I don't know any more details than that. We will also be setting, PPI special use permit, minor amendments to public hearing for the 21st of September.
I don't have you as a meeting next week.
Over the week after?
I think it's the week after.
No, it's supposed, I have you, next meeting is September,
Jim just sent me
a public hearing.
he just sent me a
He sent an agenda out.
agenda for 8/17.
Next Thursday,
What is gonna be on the 17th?
Okay,
regular meeting.
what time? At 7 o'clock?
Okay,
Here.
well, yeah, okay.
A permanent agenda or please give me your ideas agenda?
This was a draft.
Okay,
So it's both.
not one I'm gonna put on the website.
No, but if you had comments or something, pass them on.
Right, I'm looking for one to put on the website. Okay, now you're on the official book.
Oh, good. Then also there'll be some discussion, a follow-up on camping on vacant property, and in violation of the ordinance. And this is by the planners.
Yeah, and didn't Jim send out a special use permit currently? It came from the Port Point Inn that we're supposed to look at and getting ready for September's meeting.
It wasn't included on the email that I got.
It was a discussion point, and then I think what he did is, I think we're gonna review the Port Inn thing September
21st.
21st. So,
That'll be the public hearing.
yeah, he sent out the special use permit that they're currently under for us to review. As planning commission members.
Okay, well, I got it a long time ago, so maybe that's,
Yeah, we may let a month ago. I don't remember.
and then we'll also add to the agenda talking about sidewalks.
Okay,
or investigating, talking about
Thank you.
sidewalks.
There we go, that's so cool. Okay,
What about, I have that I was supposed to add the applicant to the agenda. The only thing I had on an applicant that there was an interest email that I got from Christopher Forth,
that'd be correct.
not an actual resume or not resume. I didn't receive anything to distribute out.
He thinks he gave it to somebody, because he thinks he filled out the application, because I asked where it was. I'll ask him.
Not the same process that we did with everybody else. Did you get anything? Yeah, no, I haven't.
Just a request that he'd like to be considered.
Correct.
Right, and this was in an effort that we discussed of trying to get a village.
Right. That's all great. You want, I didn't,
And I wasn't aware that he was, because I'm the one that reached out to him and said, you have to send an email to the supervisor.
but he did send an email, but he didn't do a resume thing like we do.
I wasn't aware that he needed a resume, just that.
Isn't that our new process now, is they have to complete an application or resume or
I think we
something?
have an application form and then attach a resume if they want it.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then
It's just
comes to the board.
formality, it's not a,
yeah.
why don't we get that to him?
I don't even know that we have an application.
The same thing like that Doug did when he applied and
Same
you
thing for Parks and
did,
Rec.
and, yeah.
Yeah, we need to fill out one,
Yeah.
on each one of us for the board.
Right.
to approve.
If I can find that, I can email it to him.
I'm just looking real quick to see if his email's right here. It's fourth, right?
Yes.
Can't find it, okay. I know he sent me a thing, basically the same thing as Shelley just said,
Yeah, you
expressed an
forwarded it
interest.
to me.
I forwarded it to her.
Mhm.
So, okay. Let's get some, if there is something, I guess that's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
And we're gonna do this for that meeting for sure, your 24th meeting, right? You wanna do this?
17th.
No, in September. 21st meeting. I mean, on September 21st, you wanna do the owl, right?
Oh,
For
Yes.
sure.
yes.
I'm sorry.
You-
Owl,
you just-
yeah, I know.
Yes.
It looks like an owl from here, it doesn't matter, right?
Yes, I think the public would appreciate if the owl was awake.
Okay, do you wanna try that for this month too, or not?
If we knew how to run it,
I don't think it's so, I don't think our agenda is very complicated or
Okay,
You should probably do a trial run on the 17th.
if we, yeah,
if somebody can help us, yeah.
okay, let's talk about that. I don't know if Ed can show up or somebody. I'd like to learn how to do it too, because there should be a couple other people at least know how to do this, right? Okay. You done?
well, do we need to talk about,
Yes?
yes?
So you want me to talk about it, or you want to talk?
You guys, whoever wants to take the lead.
Well, the introduction to this is, the planning commission's been working on the master plan. We have a draft master plan. We got a lot of correspondence about the recreation map on page 36. And in looking at it, it was woefully out of date. It looked like it was pulled right from the 2011 plan and just slapped in there. And so given that it was a lot of, let's say, recreation opportunities, I reached out to Vic, and he has been working overtime to bring the recreation map into alignment with the road end ordinance. And the two didn't match at all. It was,
Well, they matched, they didn't match 100%.
they didn't match 50%.
Well, whatever, somehow they matched.
Well, so it's down to the fact that there's about 4 or 5 things that we need the township board to look at. And if it's okay, I have paper, but I also have it on the screen. And if you're all right with me standing by the screen, I can walk you through it. But Ed, if you don't mind, I'd like you to put it in a presentation format because there's a bunch of hidden slides. Okay, so go up to the top, first slide, that's the second one. So when we did this, it looked like to us that we were trying to serve a lot of audiences. So we made the decision that we just want to focus on first-time visitors. When they come here, we want them to have an absolutely good first-time visit and come back again. So let's put our best foot forward. Let's point to the locations that make sure it's going to be a good first-time experience. So what did we do? There's some commercial properties that change ownership. We're featuring the parks and the accessible road ends. We're aligning the recreation map to the road end ordinance. We're providing a link so that every single item on the map you can get to, you couldn't on the last one, and then hopefully a single map. So if you go to the second page, Ed, this is the old one. And you notice on the old one, it was a single page where the legend was on that same page and then two maps. And the maps are a problem because you've got Old Faithful and then the Pierpont thing way up here, so the scaling is a pain. Going forward, we're going to have the legend as one page, and across from it's going to be the map, and we're going to ask them to try to make the map a little bit easier to read. Now with all this jumble of numbers, if we can make it a little bit larger. First, some obvious things. The RV park's gone. We now have Portage Point Woods Reserves. Onekama Marine wanted the name changed. So we did that stuff. Here it says public water access sites are numbered. We changed that to say public road ends are numbered. And in the old one, it says see report. Well, where was the report?
There was no report.
There's no report. This is a dead end. So any visitors looking at it says, well, what report? And they're just kind of stuck. So what we said is see road end ordinance, and this is going to be a clickable link where they can go. So anything that's on this map will either be called out specifically here, or you can jump there and you'll see everything. So that's the idea. We had land ownership. We have land ownership, but we've dropped a couple of things. On here we had township properties, village properties, and our thought was, if we want them to go to recreation spots, let's not show every piece of property owned by the township. Let's show them the recreation spots. So we're still going to have land ownership, but it's going to be parks, the boat launch, the schools, basketball courts, pickleball, tennis, the fairgrounds, and of course, also county owned is the Pierpont launch. Conserved property, so we now are going to show the new Portage Point Woods, which is right up here, and then the private camps and resorts. So it's essentially the same, but we're trying to make it a little prettier. Well, with all of these investigations and all of these numbers, we came up with some things that we just don't have the answer to. So go to the first or next page. No, you were right. Up one. No, down one. Okay. Portage Street, 12th Street, and Sunnyside Avenue. On the road end ordinance, they're all numbered number 13. Go to the next slide. We have 3 13s in this column, and I'm sorry I missed the heading on this column. This is the location. Well, these 3 spots are in completely different locations, but they're all identified. So we're asking the board to change the ordinance and just put A, B, and C. We're hoping you don't want to put new numbers here because then we got to redo the whole rest of it. And we've got like 44 numbers on there. So if it's okay with you, just add an A, B, and C. That would be our one really simple request.
Consensus?
Yes.
Yes. Bob?
Yes.
Al?
Yes.
Okay, Ed? Okay, go ahead.
The
That's
next
fine.
one's more complicated. And I'm going to ask you to do a lot of jumping back and forth. Portage Avenue is in the road end ordinance. Portage Lake Avenue is not. Outlet is not. Portage Avenue is listed on the road end ordinance, but there's no map reference. Go to the next slide. Just saying it goes from 14 to 16. There's no 15 here. There wasn't on prior ordinances either. We went back to 2013, I think 2003 or whatever. It's just missing. So go back up. On the 13 road end ordinance, there was a map associated with it. I got that from Katie. And on that map, it just says that it's noted and so on and so forth. And they had a Portage Avenue and a Portage Lake Avenue. They included Portage Avenue because it's on the road end ordinance. And you can see a bunch of hand scribbling. So let me take you 2 slides down and tell you what I'm talking about. This was the map that they had when they redid it in 2013. It was done in 2006. They hand scribbled 813. They added Portage Avenue. And on the map, they added Portage Avenue, and they pointed directly to Portage Lake Avenue. Portage Lake Avenue connects Lake Isle and Lake View, but they just decided that's gotta be it. So go back up to the questions and answers page. So we see what they did there. If you look at the plat, it suggests that Portage Avenue is really Outlet Avenue. Why do I say that? Because in the description or the location, it says 410 and 370. Our assumption was if you're saying that a road end is 410 and 370, those are neighborhoods, it's probably the one between those. It can't surround it, so we're just working the assumption it's the one that's between them. So the location would say, there's no way that this is Portage Lake Avenue. It's got to be Outlet. Go down 2 sides, 1, 2, one more. This is 410. This is 370. That's Outlet. It's Ridge on one side, Outlet here, and possibly Portage. Portage Lake is like 14 lots and 1 road end on the other side. So back up to the top of the questions. Are Portage Avenue and Portage Lake Avenue the same? That's what they thought in 2013, even though it doesn't align with the plat map. Or is Portage Avenue really Outlet Avenue, which more aligns with the description? If Portage Avenue is Portage Lake Avenue, then we need to change the road ordinance from Portage Avenue to Portage Lake Avenue, or maybe in parentheses, put it behind there, just to clean it up. Or if you think that Outlet is really Portage, then at that point, what do we say? Outlet Avenue replaces Portage Avenue, or Outlet, or Portage Avenue and put Outlet at the back. I don't know which it is. Someone needs to make a decision because we got to include it on the map. What do you think? Portage Lake, like they did in 2013?
Why can't we just put Portage Lake Avenue as number 15?
Well, go to the, no, go down. Okay, no, right there. Where's the road end ordinance is what I want to look at, where we're missing.
Oh, right there.
Yeah. No, not that one. Keep going. There you go. Well, so Portage Avenue, I mean, but the problem is
it's Outlet Avenue.
Is it Outlet Avenue? That would make it, 15, and we could call it 15, or is it Portage Lake Avenue? It's either Portage Lake and Portage are the same, or Portage is really Outlet, which is further down south.
And how this all came about was when we had these meetings, Vic said, well, just, what do you think? And I said, no, the board's got to decide, because I didn't know what to think. To me, that's Outlet Avenue, because it's the only thing that fits between the 410 neighborhood and 370. And that's where the location is. Where else? It can't be anyplace else.
But Outlet Avenue already has a number.
Well, but Outlet Avenue is not on the road end ordinance. So you could just add the word Outlet Avenue, Portage Avenue, because your
And be the
descriptions are.
same, it's the same one, and then create a new one for.
No,
that's why.
Well, Portage Lake Avenue is not on the road end ordinance and doesn't need to be.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't need, it's not on the road end ordinance,
Right.
but Portage is. So we have to figure out, is Portage really Portage Lake or is it Outlet? It looks
Yeah.
like Outlet. Go to the map.
I would agree with that. If you're not trying to find a space
One
for
more.
Portage Avenue.
So Portage Lake, way up here, and we don't need to find a place, and we're not taking an access point away. We're just figuring out what's
What's
what.
the name of it?
And that assumption that says 410, 370, that's just my assumption. I mean, if anyone else thinks differently,
Yeah, then
I
just
don't know what they could be thinking.
get rid of 27.
Well, I mean, that is still an outlet that people can get to, and we will have that on the recreation map
But what
as
do you-
Portage Lake Avenue.
Okay, there you go. That's what I wanted
It's,
to
it's
know.
on the map, it's not on the
27.
road end ordinance. You don't need to deal with it as a road end ordinance, it's the Portage
Right.
Avenue that we don't know where it is. So I would say,
Portage
again, just an
Avenue.
opinion,
Outlet.
Outlet Avenue equals Portage Avenue, and on the road end ordinance, where it says Portage, behind it in parentheses, just put outlet, and then
It's done.
it's done. That would be,
That's how it's labeled in the back filing cabinet, is Outlet Avenue under the road end file.
go to the road end ordinance. I can't tell you, there.
There isn't a Portage Avenue file, it's an Outlet Avenue file in the road end.
Oh, there's an actual hard file. Well, then that would support that they are the same, I think.
But I'll just call it that. To me, that's what I was gonna do, but I didn't wanna make this call. I thought it should be a board decision. That's why this is all.
It could be simply Portage
That's what I
Avenue
was
slash
doing.
outlet.
There you go.
What
There you
would
go.
you guys do?
That clears it up.
Okay,
Yeah?
all right, that was the hard one. So
Yeah, that was the hard one.
Keep going, page down. Okay, next one. First Avenue equals Beechwood. First Avenue is on the road end ordinance. Beechwood is not. They appear to be the same. The Beechwood road sign is on Portage Point Road. There are no public access poles, okay? And you can't really get to the lake from there. The 2013 group thought they were the same. The Platte Avenue says it's first, and our second radar app is, our map's a little screwed up. So let's just go through each page one at a time. Next page down. So we're talking about First Avenue. That's why I'm bringing it to the board, because it's on the road end ordinance. Next one. I've taken pictures, and I'm sorry for the picture quality, but this is Beechwood. There's no poles, and there's no way to get there. Next one. The 2013 group thought they were the same. I think they're right. Next. An old amended map that Dave had in here shows that First Avenue starts at Portage Point Road, makes the curve and goes all the way down. Next slide. On the Beckett and Rader, it shows Beechwood crosses Portage Point, which according to the plat map, that's wrong. This should really end here. And this is First Avenue right there, and we want to show it on the map. But, next slide. I'm sorry, that's the next one. Go back up to the, what are we gonna do about it slide? So, do we include First Avenue on the rec map? We think yes. Currently, there's no practical access. Well, I shouldn't say that. We think yes, we don't have a right to say yes or no. It's on that, it could be. Currently, there's no practical access through Beechwood. We're gonna get Beckett and Rader to fix their map. The road around the bend to the lake. Okay, anyway, that's part of that. Township and Meadow. Okay, should we make this public access? And during a lot of these conversations with a variety of people, there was, go to the Beckett and Rader map. There was a suggestion that we should put access poles there. But if you put them here, it's really impossible for people to get there, and they are going to have a bad experience, which is what we don't want to do. So should we put them somewhere else? And I'm not making suggestions.
And I thought they should be down by the water. If you put them by the road, no one's gonna figure it out. But down there, at least you can get to it off of Lake Isle.
This is,
Lake Isle.
no,
Portage
this
View or
is,
something.
No, I mean,
that's it, Portage View.
Portage.
This is Portage View. There's a new big house that was built there. But this is another one of those little bitty roads. It looks
Yeah,
like a
it's a
driveway, but
two-track
it
drive.
is a public
But it
road.
goes right to that road.
There might even be a public access already on Portage View.
Well, on Portage View, I don't know whether there is or not. I can't answer that question. The
I didn't
question
go
is,
down
should there be?
Should there be? I think there
There
should. I
is
don't
at
think
Lake,
there is.
at Lakeview right there.
But I don't think there is over there. I think there should be because it is in a nice spot. You just have to go down there. I mean, it's gonna look like someone's driveway, but it's not. It's a road. It's off a road.
For purposes of the rec map, we can leave it on,
Yeah.
leave it up, doesn't make any difference. I just wanted you guys to see that, you know, the old plat shows this as First Avenue. We should correct that. And then we need to make the decision, are we gonna put them there? I think the answer would be, we don't wanna put them there. Not if we're really trying to fulfill the mission and have a good. And then separately, it doesn't have to happen now. We don't have to put one there. But if you want to put one there, I think you need to do some things like make sure that you put the pylon poles and such. So a compromise now would be leave it off. And if you want to do something about it, this map is now going to be a web app. We can go add that later. But right now, as it is, can't get there that way. And right now, there's no markings any other way. So just so that we can get this done, I say leave it off. And then if you have a compelling need to do something with it, then do it and we'll change the map.
It'll still be on the map. You're going to take it off the map.
Well, I'm saying take it off the map because we're trying to tell people, this is for first time people, here, you know, here's where you should go. It says Beachford here, it doesn't say First Avenue.
Vic, are all the other road ends, whether they're observation areas and inaccessible or public access, going to be on your map, or just the ones that are public access?
Everyone's gonna be there. That's an excellent point that I didn't make. Can you go to the very top one?
I think that one should be on there.
Oh, well, wait, they all will be,
Okay.
but let me show you at the very top. One thing we decided was, over here, you only made, not you, but the decision was made, identify road ends as township or county. We took it a step further and said, township water access, township observation, and then county. So they're all listed, but feature those that there's immediate access to. Now, there are some road ends that are either township or county that we are not including in this. And in this presentation, there's a whole bunch of hidden slides. Sylvan Avenue,
The ones that run through.
Berlin, the ones that go from Bayview out to the wetlands, where all they're gonna get are ticks and mud and lose their shoes. We don't have them on there. And they're road ends. And some people might say, well, put them on there. They shouldn't be doing that. Or you know, some guy's got his RV there. That's not our battle to fight. It would be a horrible experience to send somebody there. So those are not.
Okay.
This
Also,
one,
also, Dick, the two over by Little Eden.
well, true. And those are other ones that we should point out.
Let's finish this first.
Well, yeah, so I agree. Do we leave it off for now and then add it back if we
If you need it.
add those pillars there?
The only question that I think we need to be addressed, you're presenting this from a point of view that this is gonna be a first time user looking at this. Other people are gonna look at this map. Other
True.
landowners and stuff are gonna see, this affects me, or hey, there's nothing there. You know, those people there on Bayview, you know, what are they gonna say if it's not on there as a road end or an access point?
Well, so let's make sure that I'm understanding the question. This is Beachward, and there are people on each side of it, and that's got a Beachward sign, road sign, no pylons. You're talking about those people?
No, I'm just
No, he's
saying,
saying Bayview, and he just used Bayview as the.
Oh.
if you did an example.
But I think,
Okay, the Bayview ones like Sylvan Way, et cetera.
Yeah, because other people are gonna look at this map, in fact,
not first time users. Let's say someone that lived up here on Beachward.
Mhm.
They want a place to go to the lake. They may not know that exists unless we mark it. And they want to go down to the water, they can use that. And they may not know it, or the neighbor might say, hey, you're on my property.
So.
That's why I would mark it.
I think we mark it.
Okay.
Ed?
And I would say the ones that are.
That's a great
ticks-
access.
Ticks and mud and nothing there.
No.
If it's labeled as a public access in the ordinance, you change it to observation area.
Well, but but you don't have all of those on the road end ordinance. Sylvan Way is not on the road end
It's not even
ordinance.
listed.
Merlin is not on the road ends.
So,
Those three are not
so
on.
why do we have township road ends that aren't listed on the road
They
end?
ended up with a swamp, basically.
Well, no, but wait, all of your road ends are going to be included on here, all the township
Okay.
ones. That's why I'm forced to ask you these questions about the ones that we're unclear about.
So are those other ones county road end?
There are county road ends that we're not including
I
on
think
there.
that's fine.
All of the ones that are township, that's why we're here talking about it. And I'm okay if that's, if.
I
we
just
wanna
say
leave it on
they
the map.
should, that's just my opinion.
I'm just saying though, that understand, a first-time visitor, they're not going to know how to get there
Yeah,
unless
but
you
you know
take
who-
some
but you know who-
action from this point
But you know
forward.
who will, if it's smart? All those people that live around there will go, I never knew that was that I could use the water.
Okay, that's fine. So are you suggesting that you add the pylons there,
Mhm.
anywhere else, or just at the water's edge?
If there's other ones that need it, we should look. We were gonna evaluate the road ends, all of them, however many we have. Half of them or a third of them every 3 years, or whatever it is, or maybe look at them once in the spring.
Trust me, I've looked.
Right, and so I think that's our responsibility to make sure that they're
That has to be
still
looked at.
marked, not being abused, get surveyed as needed, all that stuff.
Okay, yeah, then for our map, we add it?
Yes.
I have a question. How, if you're just gonna put pylons at the beach, are they ever gonna know?
I didn't say only at the beach, you'd have to put it to me up by the road too.
So are you suggesting, Dave, that you use, what was the name here?
Portage View.
Portage View, because this is the practical access to that right now.
You can't get through there.
Oh, yeah, you can.
Yes, you
This is
can.
like, it's a public road, it's like a driveway.
It's a road,
Yes, you can.
it's a road.
I've been down there.
So have I with the rescue many times.
Yeah, you might be thinking about this one right here that you cannot use. There's another road here
Yeah, you
that
can't
you
get down.
can't get to. But this one is drivable. There's houses right here. That's
That's how they get to all their
there.
houses.
But they won't like that you're gonna put pylons there.
Well, I think for now you put them at the water's edge and you just call it, because there are people that are kayak or whatever, pull up with their boat
Yeah.
anchor there and wanna go. you know, whatever.
Probably remember 16, we do it, but then you guys gotta make sure that.
We're gonna have to survey it to find out exactly unless there's a stake there. because
All right,
it's-
so then-
Vaughn's property is the last one on there. You can't, if Steve Vaughn's property is the last one to the upper side of 16, there are fallen trees in there. Anyway, okay.
I guess another thing just like to point out about this map. For me, from the planning commission standpoint, I view this like this zoning map here. I'd like to see it up on the wall here so that when the questions come up, you can walk over to a map that's big enough to read and point to these things. And be able to, yes, you should have it online, and all that, and be able to click on things, but, I see you get a lot of traffic coming into this building, people with questions, and, you know, what.
Right here?
I have a new pegboard right there that you can put it on.
Can't put it in a big frame, and put it right over there behind Vic.
I'm sorry, I don't know your first name.
Judy,
Judy, is this the lot you're asking a question on? That is Keepsake LLC?
that's Steve Vaughn's.
Okay, so that right now shows a house on it.
Yeah, there is. Steve
And
Vaughn's.
there certainly are trees right there, and to get there, it looks like the road ends at this edge of his property, and so getting through there would be tough, that last end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are fallen trees in there. I've been down there.
Yeah, so you can get to the first part of this lot, but you can't easily get there, so then that says to me, you can mark it down here, we can include it on the map, but at some point, some action is gonna need to be taken by you guys to clear that out.
Who owns the lot at the end of that?
This one right here?
The one that looks like a numeral 1.
The other.
Boyer.
Is there a house down there?
It's winging, blinging and nut, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's Boyer.
Yep. Okay.
All right, so
I couldn't
16,
go.
We just send a letter from the fire department.
help me remember, 16.
The other
Okay,
thing,
let's go to the next one, because I
that's
think
fine.
it gets
No,
easy.
that answers that, okay. This one,
This is the last one. This is 7th Street, so you go out 9th and you make a left and you go down the hill. And when you turn left here, it's across from Park Place. I think the Gerhardt House was like right here. This is marked as public access, yet it is an observation area on the road end ordinance. And those are mutually exclusive things. So the question for the board is, did we put this on the map as an observation area? Because that's what it is in the road end ordinance. And the practical application on our map would be, it would be a small black letter instead of a big blue letter. It doesn't stop people from using it. It just calls it what it is, an observation area. So yeah, right down here, that's my third question for you.
I'd like to see that one, actual public access. That's big enough and it can be used myself.
So that's.
And people use it.
Oh, clearly people use it. It's marked as public access, yet it's on the.
It probably was a copy paste job potentially.
Right, but my only point to you guys is that everything we've done to this point has been pretty much clerical. You might get some objections. It's yours to deal with. My question is, you could go one of two ways. You could make it a public access on the road end ordinance, or on our map, we could just use a small black number. Doesn't prevent them from doing it. It's an observation area, which is what it is. So
If it's a road end, how can it be an observation area? Because road end with access to lake, that's what the road end is supposed to do.
I think to me, it's
just
mislabeled. How's that? Now, it's just mislabeled. It should be, yeah, I went and looked at it. This should be, no, just change it. I don't think it should be
We
observation.
don't want to encourage people to stay in those public access places. I've seen them picnicking, I've seen them. That's the one we went on.
But Al, if you look at the definition in the ordinance or somewhere, when it talks about observation areas, it says public access is not prohibited, but is discouraged because of the nature, topography, sensitive.
This is nothing like
This
that.
has nothing like that.
right, that would say this should be a public access on your road end ordinance. It shouldn't be observation area, but that's for your guys' decision to make.
Board's decision, change it or
Public
not?
access.
Public access, Al?
Public access.
Shelley said that, okay, there we go.
Will you explain to me where this is again?
I'm sorry?
It's across from Tom Gerhardt's house,
Okay, thank you.
kind of a little
What's
south,
the
you know what I
gal's
mean?
name?
Jenny Ellison.
All right, final slide. Okay, well, so this you're gonna change. This is not gonna be Portage Lake Avenue, it's gonna be Portage Avenue / outlet, 13 ABC. Those are the changes that need to be made.
Yep.
And then there's one final one that, in section 8 that you just referenced, it talks about not prohibited. And this wording says, instead of using not prohibited, discouraged. So read that, and does that sound more logical and easier to understand than the current wording?
Yes, it does.
You're a quick reader.
Are these?
Think I've already read it.
road ends?
20 times.
This is a township road end, and this is section 8 of the township road end ordinance, where it describes the two different types.
Okay,
One, the first part says, this is public access, but then it's distinguished as observation area, and the old wording says, we can't stop you. This says, you are discouraged.
Yeah, and I think that's appropriate.
Yeah, it's not stopping them, it's just discouraging basically for your own benefit if you want to.
Right, because as Ed mentioned, it talks about the two things, it's damage to the environment or dangerous to you. It's the exact same wording, other than
Right.
saying we can't stop you, you're discouraged. That's what it.
what about the one that's off of Lakeside, right by, between Osborne's and Lang?
It's an observation area.
Right, I know it is. Is that on this?
Oh, yes, every one of the township road ends will be on this map. And if they are public access, there'll be big, beautiful blue letters. If they are observation, there'll be small font black. Not hiding them, just sending them to the blue ones.
Okay.
What about the piers? Right now, the cord.
And the maps are behind you. The piers are on there. First Avenue's on there.
No access.
Well, there's access.
Oh, no, there's access.
I thought the Corps wanted us to discourage it because they don't want people on those.
Well, no, wait, now, I think what you're talking about was the Corps does not want people on
Their pier.
the pier. And we had discussions about them going in front of the brooks and some of our wording said, you can get to there using our beach. And so we were discouraged from using that because the Corps didn't really want to do that. But if you go down Avenue E,
You can get right on.
you get right on there.
Yeah.
And so they have access to it and we have it listed as public access. It's called First Street on one side and Portage.
The next question and last question I have is when you make this a map of that size, you need to put a disclaimer in somewhere on the map that this is
Not legal descriptions or?
not, yeah, basically, it's for guidance only. If you need legal information, you need to go seek it someplace else.
Didn't we?
And we're putting a disclaimer in the master plan itself
Yeah.
that says basically that same thing. And it would be very easy to add that
Yeah, 'cause
box.
that's hanging on the wall.
Yeah,
You need to-
okay.
I'll remember.
Vic?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Because
Dave.
you've had
Yes,
hours
thanks,
and
Dave.
hours. We've had a
Thanks,
couple of
Dave.
different meetings. Dave was here.
Dave has been instrumental.
And Vic probably has 100 hours to do this.
No,
No? Am I wrong?
No, you're not.
50?
no, more than
I would say
100.
100.
I see, that's what I
I know
said,
more
so I
about rodents
appreciate
than
all the
I ever
work.
thought I-
His dog's exhausted from going here. So
Yeah,
The dog.
And the comment you made, the township, or that the road commission, road ends need to be looked at and inspected, and same with ours.
I was talking about ours.
Okay,
Yeah, he wasn't-
we have violators,
I'm sure we do.
right now,
Well, that gets back to your point about, I don't know, when I came on Parks and Rec, I thought we were the ones that had jurisdiction about every few years doing a few, but then I heard that we don't. So I don't know who has jurisdiction. I have a lot of knowledge, and if you want to, they
Clean
do
some of
like
them
3 a
up.
year, I'm happy to do that.
That's fine, we could tap him and say, what 3 minutes do you recommend 3? We can do that every year, that's fine.
Well, we have, like, the Portage Lake Wetlands is a project that Al and I are talking about, several of these roads end into Portage Lake Wetlands and all that, so we could address that as far as the wetlands.
Oh, before you stop, the 2 by Little Eden. We didn't talk about.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, we meant to talk about that. So
There's an 8-foot
there's
one,
called the 20-foot access and the 8-foot access. And
right down by the curve before you get to
the
Little Eden.
20-foot access is right at the curve. And those we didn't include because there are 2 very large ones down the road that people can use. And the one at the curve is nothing but trees, and the 8-foot is nothing but trees. And so going back to our original premise, is this our best foot forward? No, it's not. If you guys want to take those trees out, if you want to deal with the problem of people parking on a curve, we can add them, but for now, we said, if you go back to our best foot forward thing, this is not our best foot forward, especially when you have 2, like a 50 and a 70 right down the road.
But
So
they're still marked. on the
they're
map.
still marked, we're not precluding
We're not
people from
precluding
doing it,
them,
we're
but we're
not
not-
sending them there.
There you go.
I thought, so, from my memory, I recall that there's some question about whether one of those road ends goes across their property. So it's not really
The
a road.
20 and the 8,
I don't know, the 8.
No, they don't,
They
they
do
run
not.
parallel.
Vic, your map
They do
is
not.
listing all the other observation areas, right?
Yeah, they list.
all of our observation areas are being listed. This is
Are these 2 county ones?
no, these are yours,
These are ours.
but we're not showing them as a place to,
They're still listed.
well,
We still have posts.
they still have
Yeah.
I think you
posts.
should, if they have posts, you should put them on the map as an observation area and call it a day. An observation area isn't gonna draw people to wanna,
Okay, but then,
You can't see it.
okay, but those 2 are not on the road end ordinance, so we wouldn't have to do anything. We would just call them out. So we can do
so why
that.
wouldn't those be on our road end ordinance?
Well, they're not. I don't know why they wouldn't be, but they're not.
Sounds like that ordinance.
No, you
Maybe
don't. Oh,
because-
that's all. Was
Maybe
originally-
because
The
8
park
foot's
that we're
not
just
enough to
talking
be a
about,
road.
it's right on the curve.
I know it's on the
and
curve, but
Creates a bad,
people walk and walk.
But on
yeah, they can walk, they're
observation,
marked, Ed. There are posts
No,
there.
But,
Those are county.
okay, then we don't have to worry about it.
Those are county.
That's
Then
why.
we're good.
Because when they sent us the map from the
That
county,
makes
he said
sense.
those that go
That's what
directly to
the
the
deal
lake
was.
they
belong to
wanted us
us.
to remove the post and we said no.
No, because it's public, but that's why, that's exactly
Those are
why.
county.
Now,
So that
that's-
makes sense, we're good.
And we didn't do that because we didn't want people parking, ice fishing were gonna park on that curb right there, and everyone was worried about people parking there and.
And besides, you can't get there without going around on other people's property,
Right.
so,
Okay,
all right.
thank you very much.
All right, I'll recap all this.
Okay,
Don't start all over.
Maybe
again.
don't. Maybe that's what you're trying to-
I'm gonna go, yeah, ZBA as quick as we can. Do we have anything?
No.
There you go. Nothing in zoning. Did we get a report?
It was in the packet.
So I'm glad to see that the zoning enforcement report was on there, but I think there's others that the zoning people are looking at that didn't make it onto that report. So they need to, I think,
Do a better job of, yeah.
Well, he did his report in the middle of July.
yeah, you can't wait till their contract comes back up.
That was supposed to be tonight, wasn't it? Wasn't Jody gonna be here?
I don't know. I didn't get anything in the mail, did you, about a contract being?
Yeah, when does it due?
We gave them an extension, right?
I thought it was October for some
Yeah,
reason.
October 1 is when it starts.
Okay,
They definitely need to be here in September.
I'll just have them show up and,
Where does DeVoe stand?
They need to send us a contract
a new one,
before,
yeah,
so we
okay,
can digest it.
okay.
Well, there's a number of things that they're not doing, that I personally think they should be doing, that I think we need to have consensus and figure out if that needs to be in the contract. So if it needs to get extended for another month until we can sort that out, I don't want to rush that, but I think there's issues and concerns, at least that I have.
Mhm,
Have Mike come next meeting? Let's
mhm,
do that.
If he has a draft of the contract.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay.
mhm.
I'll have him tomorrow.
Where does DeVoe stand?
Usually on his property.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the status of the Cook's property? We're getting ready to build?
There's a mailbox there.
Yeah, I don't know. Al, ask your question. I talked to Tom. Tom was here yesterday. Tom went out to the property. And I told him already 2 weeks ago to proceed to the next step. So that's what I done. And I didn't talk to him since he was here. It was yesterday, right? Okay, so that answers that, I guess. Invasive species?
I'll keep it brief.
Okay, go ahead.
The last survey showed very little, milfoil,
Okay,
just a little bit around the marina. They did not find any starry stoneware or frog bit, so this is a really good year.
okay,
She treated a few frag places and some knotweed places. Contract's coming up next year, we'll have to review that, and we're mapping all this data and making it available. You can click on a box and tell you what's there, so Alexis, the smart one, is doing all that work for us. And that's it. Just entertain questions. We're doing a lot. Our next meeting is August 21st on Monday at 4:30.
Okay, I need an updated schedule from you guys because somebody,
It's that Monday. It's always is that third Monday?
okay, you're not doing Fridays anymore?
No, they couldn't.
All right, hold on, because, let's
Yeah,
see,
she's
third,
doing that. There's another couple more things to report from that.
21st.
the third Mondays.
We did treat the Japanese knotweed.
Yep, back here,
That's been treated.
What time, Doug?
4:30.
And remember, last year, we didn't see any rocky
Okay,
wart, whatever the
Frog
case
bit?
is. We didn't see any of that till the second time they went out and looked.
Correct.
So it's nice to see where it is now, and I think overall, it's under control, but you never know how fast it's gonna pop up.
Correct, and we do have a partnership with one of the SISMA, Cooperative Invasive Species Network folks, to come and handle it if it's gone up rather than treat chemically, so that's a good
Okay.
thing.
I did get a phone call from Valerie, somebody in the village. She said that she has an invasive species of purple loose stripe.
Yep.
And I don't know if Alexis treated that on her.
Blue stripe is often treated with, if you have enough of it, I guess, with these little bugs. You can come and eat them and take care of them all, so
Okay,
it depends on how much of that. That's the first I've heard of it. So
Okay, do
there's
you want me
different
to-
treatment methods.
you want me to send her phone number to Bree or to you, copy
Either
you?
one, yeah.
Send it to
yeah,
Bree and copy him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've used the treatment on the lake here with purple blue stripe, we've used the beetles.
The weevil, yeah.
There's been a shortage of them,
Yeah,
So I don't know if they're available now in quantity or not.
you have to have enough for the plant.
Sure, I'll do Judith's first, go ahead.
Is invasive species aquatic only?
No. We're gonna get that,
Terrestrial.
we're gonna get that straightened out.
What,
So that's why we treated some knotweed here and some.
I'm talking about autumn olive. It is.
No, it's all over, they can't treat that, I don't know, we can talk about that, but
It's-
we'll talk
If
about
we're
it.
hitting the higher priority species first, we can go on to some of that later on,
But autumn olive is on track to outdo kudzu.
It's very much on track, and most committees, including the invasive species committee, and I'm on it, and it's just my point for me, some folks have just given up on it. Let's go work on the things we can control and deal with the purple root stripes, deal with the milfoil, deal with the phragmites, because we can control those.
So autumn olive just overtakes everything else.
Well, I can tell you, it cost me $3,000
I know
to treat
you
2
talked
acres.
about that.
And get rid of the autumn olive, and you don't get rid of them because my neighbor didn't do anything with his.
we have some training. The Cooperative Northwest Invasive Species Committee has a training session on autumn olive. Boy, it's coming up pretty soon. It's either later this month or in September. And landowners, that's pretty, it's treated, I mean, there's a lot of people that come to that.
So we have to go.
It shares different methods for landowners to treat autumn olive. And usually it's cut and.
Paint.
And.
Paint the stump and
Paint,
then.
yeah.
So we tried it with, we're talking them down to the stump. And then we went back in the spring to see how many of them had any type of leaf growth or anything like that.
Is
And
that
then we
fertilizer?
treated it there.
Is it like fertilizer to cut them down and refresh off, was it?
By the time they get, we got them before they bloomed, or before the berries came out. And, by the time we cut them down, the biggest piece was maybe
That's smaller.
this big, something like that.
Yeah.
And then we had to do a little spraying the next
Yeah,
spring.
yeah,
That was the best method I could find to deal with it.
it's easy.
My neighbor still hasn't taken care of his, so.
Okay, David. My neighbor posted on Facebook that, on the south side of Portage Lake, she had a phragmite problem and what should she do about it? And the first comment was call the DNR. And mine was the second comment, and I said, the township has a standing committee for invasive species. The members are listed on the website. After that, the comments went downhill to, well, there's nothing in the lake anyway because they killed all the fish. And it killed all the plants, so,
Okay, is that on Facebook, you say?
yeah, it's in Red Park.
So, yeah, the group, our contractor was going to do a survey for the frag and was treating that at a later date. And so they had to get permission, they had standard permission form from the private landowners, and if landowner refused, then you struggle with that. They like their phragmites, then you have problems with that. So I don't know specifically about that parcel. I guess I'd have to look.
I know they had to go out and treat a couple of areas,
Yeah.
phragmite, so. And they won't do it unless they get permission to access the property.
Correct.
This is a sort of a semi-vacant parcel. My neighbor bought it just to get water access.
Okay.
So it's next to Fritz Hartrich's property, just east of that.
Did you ever call?
So,
Doug,
yeah.
got it?
Yeah.
Okay, just one more thing. We'll do it as part of the September board meeting. This meeting, we'll have 3 come up and give a presentation on what they found for this year, what the management plan for this year is, and what the plans for moving forward are. And that should be an open meeting to the public so that we can inform the public. It's not a review, it is a review, it's not a soliciting changes or anything like that. We're just basically gonna
So do we
educate.
need to use the owl then too, or?
Probably.
Maybe show me how? Some point too?
Show us
some of us.
You're saying that's not gonna be a part of the township board meeting?
No, it will be part of the township.
Oh,
board.
I'm sorry, I
Never mind.
misunderstood.
Yeah, I was gonna say, will be.
Okay.
If that's okay.
No, it's fine.
That way it gets recorded and we don't have to do it.
Okay. PLA,
We had successful Onekama days. Despite some of the challenges that we had with lack of volunteers, lack of sponsors, the Lions dropped out of several things. So it essentially started Friday night at the Lions Den with the state dinner, went to the car show on Saturday morning with 113 vehicles, which beat the last record by about 25. We had a beer tasting, we had a pig roast, we had the parade. And then we wrapped it up Monday night with the magic concert. The magic show. And Jake Slater told us, what I understand and everything I've seen, people enjoyed it. There were a lot of people here. Yeah, the fireworks, I'm sorry. Next year, we're gonna look at possibly looking at a new type of fireworks type thing, which is drone fireworks. Okay, we'll see. It's probably too new and too expensive to do, but you don't get the loud noises. So it's not as disturbing to pets or people that have.
That's what makes the fireworks.
That's how I feel. I like it. I like how you feel it. Top of my head is the bottom of my toes, but not everybody else does.
thank you all. Recycle, nothing, we didn't hear
I
anything.
haven't heard anything.
Public comment.
I've commented on.
No, you said something about the cooks, so I don't know what,
Are they ready to go?
I have no idea.
You know,
No idea.
Somebody put a mailbox out, so.
Oh, I don't know, but we,
Well, Richard Wilson told me they can't get permits.
Because of health department.
well, they have an issue with the health department because if they want to put a drain field back or septic field, drain field back
Yeah.
there, they have to get permission from everybody that fronts the platted road.
Well, they don't have that.
the front's the platted road. I'm lost. What do you mean?
The platted road, not the as-built road. There have been 2 lawsuits in the state that says that if you want to build on on the platted road and vacate it, they have to get permission from every landowner that fronts that road. So
Even though the road's in their house and front porch?
that's right,
No.
absolutely.
Maybe they should clear everything off the platted roadway that those people own, but they
That
feel
might-
different. But that's okay.
That would make you happy, David, but that's not gonna happen.
Wouldn't make me happy. I'm just saying it should be one way or the other. So, okay, correspondence. We don't have
Can
any.
we go back to
We have-
recycle for just 1 second?
Okay,
I've heard lots of compliments on the way the recycle is being handled. Now there's a perception that it's been changed. They think the area is neater.
oh, here?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about our recycle.
No, I was wondering what you're talking about. I haven't
Usually
heard
get-
anybody.
What day do they service now?
2 days a
No.
week.
Well, I think it changes on
They dump it
July
before the
4th,
weekend.
September 4th, or Labor Day.
September 1st, they'll change it, but right now they're twice a week.
What days, twice a week?
I
Or
don't
just-
know.
I just was curious, because I went to use it, because I usually do it on Tuesdays.
Tuesdays or Thursdays or Monday,
It's
Thursday or
not on
something.
Tuesday. At least if it is.
It's pretty full
yeah,
right now.
It's absolutely packed out there,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have no
this-
idea.
This was done on Tuesday.
which was yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah, was done.
They're
wa-
absolutely full.
Are they?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
We said before that they should be on July 4th, on Onekama days, and on Labor Day and Memorial Day. We ought to have an extra pickup that week.
I'm wrong. They dumped it on Monday.
Yeah, they don't do that.
I
They don't
meant
do
Tuesday.
extra
They did it
pickups.
Monday. So if this is full, it's just been since,
It's full.
okay. Well, they're not coming back till tomorrow? Thursday?
I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's 2 times a week, but
We got that letter from our Bernards. That's about it.
oh, that letter from Bernard. So that's gotta be, we have to find that proof of insurance. We have to get a hold of them. How about that?
Oh, yes, I got, okay, so real
Everyone
quick.
look at this that she sent, text
I
my
sent the
government.
text my gov, so that is an option where, people are asking, if they can get information either emailed to them or texted to them when there's updates or urgencies or anything. to our website. So, that's one option. I did contact Civic Plus and they are, they do have that option and they're gonna get with me on what it is and a bit. So I would prefer myself to go with Civic Plus. So, but that will be our second bid.
Okay.
But I mean, just in
Yeah,
case
I think-
anybody
I think-
complains.
We use, again, Civic Plus at the city, different platform that's like built in with what that is, and we have quite a few subscribers, so if they have something similar with the Drupal background, we should just use it, because it's automatic.
Exactly,
Um,
yeah.
I mean,
So-
frankly, I think it's good technology, I think it not entirely 100% necessary, but if we can do it and it's reasonable.
I know. I know, but people are wanting me to email them our minutes, our
They're on the
agendas,
website, you click here. and
so they don't have to check the website all the time.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's up to them. But where do these conversations get stored?
Which ones?
The ones you're gonna have with this company?
The owl? No, he means, through, if you went through a partnership proposal with either TextMyGov or the other one you just talked about, where does all that data get stored? Does it get stored? Someone does a text to this official
They
thing.
sign up, I'm assuming they sign up on a platform,
Right.
and once their number's in there and we post something, it automatically
Yeah, it just sends
goes.
them an email.
I don't keep track of anything, neither does Ed, that does.
Are these subject to being FOIA?
I'm not all that concerned about that, if it is, Civic
No.
Plus will have to, it's not something we're generating.
No, we're not generating anything.
Not generating them, but don't you have a copy of your response?
I think that's a real gray area. That's not, there's not a record. There's not a record of that. It's not, it's just letting them know.
I'm not responding to anything.
So, but we'll see what Civic Plus comes back with. I reached out to them too, so
Oh, okay.
they got it from both angles. It's real easy because then it's not anything we have to do. It's on them.
Right.
They sign up for what
Right,
agendas, minutes, whatever.
Whatever.
And then it just does it.
okay,
That's all I had, sorry.
okay. Bills to be paid, motion. Bob make a motion, second by Al, bills to be paid. Anybody, no discussion, none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's carried.
I have a question, Fred, though, in regards to, invasive species, charges from a standpoint of, it doesn't look like we're gonna do a lot of treatment this year as opposed to last year. The amount of outflow money goes to PLM is gonna go down.
Yeah, we just adjust the rate going, that's
We'll,
all.
we'll look at
Adjust it
that.
Going forward when it comes time.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you don't want to cut it all, you gotta have enough money if something changes next year. We're only what year into the cycle. We don't wanna.
I think we're in the second year, aren't we? In the
Or
10-year?
Of the SAD.
Third? Third year?
SAD
Okay.
is-
You don't want to screw up till you cut it off and say, okay, we're not gonna collect any money because we got some money left. And the next year, all of a sudden you have this.
Yeah.
So you gotta, it's just a balancing act.
Well, right now, it looks pretty good out there, but
Good change.
it looked good at Cadillac Lake last year when all of a sudden you got a lake full of milk.
Okay. Thank you. Adjourn. Dick,
So
thanks. David, thanks.
I have
Rob, thanks.
Who went to the pig road?
Are we
three,
adjourned?
Yeah, we're adjourned.
Who went to the pig road? David, did you go?
No, we got there late and they're out of pig.
Who went to beer tasting?
I did. We got there early.